And we're back. Applause.
Yay.
Yeah. With another episode of Survivors of Tarnstead. We are going to start in our usual manner of introduction. First up, we have Blackheart as
Carrick Marsh.
We have Kronos as
Jackson Rodskala.
We have Haddan as
Tilda.
we have Marcus as Missing in Action, which, oh, by the way, it reminds me, let's put that on. There we go.
I was really hoping you would just do the...
and going down mountains on long boards.
Yeah. He's got sticks on his feet.
Do you have the little thing? Where
The little missing thing? Yes, I do.
Yeah, nice. I wish I had that.
Continue on. We have Sammy as
Gifton Brockgren Greysteel.
We have Tobias as
It's important to say my full name.
And
You can't summon me without it.
you have Online as Nightbot. And you have me, Yuli, as your friendly DM. Who would like to give the recap?
I can do it.
Do you believe in
I
yourself?
believe in
You
you.
need cards.
I can do it. I can do it.
Go for it.
I can do it. Me and you. All right. So, we continued on from where we were previously, where we had helped load the Hexenrikers up onto our ship and start riding away. We spent the next 3 days with Shaxan and Carrick, mostly spending the majority of their time working on fixing the ship, doing repairs. Some of us did things with the various refugees and were involved in them in different ways and getting our own little side projects done, reading books and such. On the fourth day, the group is brought together by a meeting by Captain Scarlick, as Idris had spotted the ruins of a small town coming up. There's a long discussion where we go back and forth about the idea about stopping in small town or not. Then we basically resolve to, hey, let's go get Sergeant Beck from the hold, talk to him, and then feel out maybe doing a scouting mission. We also hear information that Idris or somebody had said that the 8 Hexenreich soldiers that Gifton and Dingus had rescued were acting pretty shady around the ship and very suspicious, and it was hard to say what it was. And Shaxan had a long conversation with one of them at one point, trying to assure them that, hey, everything's going to be okay, we're here for you, but you're all going to Faramir, or you're going to Barast. And we ended up getting them involved, going down and doing a big search of that town. The group split off into various different ways. During that time, Cassie found a small girl hiding in a wall covered in her own filth that had been there for seemingly days. I'm not sure how many days it was. It was like 9 days or something like that.
Significant.
She was out of food, out of water, emaciated, sick, all the things wrong with her. Cassie was consoling her and doing her best to take care of her. Gifton and Corvus investigated the burned out church that Shaxan and Carrick had spotted from the sky. Gifton saw scary writing on it. The group then resolves that we got to get the baby back. We didn't think it was going to be sane to cast Misty form on the baby because we were worried that we'd lose her and she would literally be missed, and that could have been a problem. So Gifton took her, flew her back up, handed her back to Cass. Then Cass ended up being assaulted by the mother hens of the Hexenreich clan, and then went down below with the little girl. We also had to deal with the fact that Carrick started having bad nightmares and tore up the room, his room on the airship. Rake marks on the walls. We at that point had him start using his simulacrum to cast magical mansion for himself, and he stayed in there with Telde watching him while he sleeps, to make sure that there were no further disturbances. As far as we know, he had no more further nightmares with this setup. Camaraderie started to get built between the 8 soldiers, Sergeant Beck, and the group as we continued working with them, testing the Misty Windwalk thing, and going out in teams with us, teamed with them, going out and scouting ahead, using it to kind of diverge and stuff like that, putting our information together and just being very kind of honest and making sure we shared with them ammo and things that they needed. Very soon, we were told by Scarlet that Faramir should be looming on the horizon soon. During one of the scouting missions, people find gargoyles hanging out up in trees, big stone figures. Nobody alerts them or anything like that. We just kind of go past that. We found a downed and killed dragon. We found a downed and exploded airship. A couple people come to the same concept of making a giant illusionary flag. Gifton was an asshole and jumped ahead of Carrick and did it. I'm sorry. And so there's a giant illusionary flag attached permanently to the side of the airship that looks like the Baratheon flag, because that was a smart idea at some point. We had a gargoyle fly up on the deck of the ship. It opened its mouth and started talking to us. It introduces itself as Valda, one of the seats of Faramir. Valda instructed us that we would be able to land outside the gates, but we wouldn't be able to come in. They wanted to know how many refugees we had. We exchanged best pleasantries we could, said we'd talk to them when we get closer. They said then when we got closer, another one came up, directed us in. A shiny silver figure with skulls on their pauldrons greeted us with a bunch of robed and covered figured, and one ostentatiously dressed as dashing as you could be skeleton man in purple. Wilhelm, who was one of the both of them representing the seats, Luther and Wilhelm. Or was it Willem or Wilhelm? I heard you say
Wilhelm.
Wilhelm. Yeah, Wilhelm is the skeleton, and Luther is the do whatever thing fireman. We started having conversations with them after telling them we didn't need any supplies because we currently have that handled. And as we were walking up to the gates, having a good conversation with them, that's where we ended off.
Very nice. Go ahead and take yourself a tasty standard inspiration.
Oh my god, what standard inspiration is so great.
Yeah, ding.
It has a skull on it.
Oh my god, is it a play immediately?
No.
Okay.
It's Ancient Secrets, and it's got a lich on it.
Ooh.
Oh no.
Dramatic.
How fitting. That's a good auspice.
I'll take the screenshot.
Okay, let me.
Things are normally not considered good signs. Skulls.
Look, it's looking at me with its blue eyes.
Very nice. Alright, let me clear their throat a little bit. Okay, we continue where we left off. You are in this essentially small contingent. Again, Wilhelm and Luthar are accompanied by what looks like to be a small guard contingent of their own. Numbers 6. They are very lightly armored. It's just a little bit of scale mail under sort of draped levers and padded armor, and most importantly, they have sort of cowls attached to the front of their helmets where there would be otherwise exposed face. With your group, I believe Beck is accompanying you.
And Keller.
Yeah.
And I don't remember. I think Scarlet stayed behind.
Scarlet is staying behind. Yes. As you're moving, Corvus actually looks off towards the sort of large refugee camp that is outside the front of the city, and clears his throat and goes, if it's okay, I'd like to go. Well, there must be a lot of sickness, people close to each other. And Luther actually pauses, looking at Wilhelm briefly, seems to praise Corvus for a moment before just inclining their shoulders a little as if questioning Wilhelm. Wilhelm just raises his hands up and goes, "You're not entering the city? You're welcome to go look at the refugee camp. There have been some small health issues that not our usual purview to treat, so we've been trying." And when he says that, Keller actually pauses as well and just goes, "If you don't mind, I'd like to go look at things myself, see how they're being treated." And he sort of phrases it less as a question, more as like, "I want to do this. I want to see how these, their assistants and shit."
I'm gonna put a hand on Keller's shoulder and give him a nod, and I'm going to say to him, even though he does not understand me, that remember, these people are trying to help you.
He gives you a quizzical look for a moment.
Jax will calmly translate it and also hand off one of the normal sending stones he has.
And he actually lays his hand over yours on his shoulder, Gifton, briefly, and gives you an ill-practiced smile on this gruff military man, and just nods his head a little bit before taking the stone from Shaxon.
I'll nod. And I'll wave him off, like, yep, go do it.
Yeah, and the two of them will head off together.
Oh, good. The one that's quickest to draw a gun's gone, so that's fine. Out of character. That's me saying that.
Wilhelm will then sort of clap his hands together, and he's wearing sort of very nice. They look like they've got a velvet cladding, but just by the thickness, you can tell that these are leather gloves, beneath it. He claps his hands together and goes, "Oh, right, onwards then. I welcome you to our fine city, and as you're approaching the gate, the smaller gate that they use to exit, you can see outside are a couple of stone statues, not like the large gargoyles, but they appear to be canine, but not any real apparent breed, just the sort of, amalgamated idea of what a dog looks like, which are just posted either side of the door, and there's that slight crunching sound of stone as their heads move slightly to follow your approach. And Wilhelm and Luther seem to just ignore them, although you see Wilhelm briefly brushes his hand over the top of the head of one of the stone statue dogs as the gates open and he passes by.
Dogs. Gifted commentary on what happening is gonna happen. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Jax will give it a bit of a quizzical look, but not press. Not just the action, but the creatures themselves.
You can easily tell what they are. They are simply animated stone statues of dogs.
Well, I'm having a really hard time stopping from laughing constantly, just hearing Gifton's commentary on life right now.
Yeah. And as Wilhelm and Luther and the guard continue to enter with you trailing behind them, he goes, "Oh, it's quite friendly, I assure you. They're really quite lovely. And stand there, don't make too much noise, don't shed."
Did they play?
Have you asked them to? And the guard ones, they're not given much in the way of sentience. It's a little unfair to imbue intelligence into something that has a duty that requires it to stay in one place for too long.
How do you know it's not intelligent?
It is never given it. They can only follow very basic commands.
Sounds to reason.
And as you enter the gates, first off, you're sort of led into the inner wall. The walls for Faramir are large, thick, and essentially buildings in their own right. But heading in, it's very well lit. The wall sconces are clearly magical in nature. They've got a faint blue glow, but they light up the inside of the walls well enough. There are just a few guards inside, sort of idling about. There's a mix. You can see a few more of these skeletal figures, actually with their helmets removed. There's some small distinctions. The eye glows vary. Some don't have them. Others seem to have minor decorations on their bones, and there is variance in facial structure, although it's a lot harder to read. But it's not just skeletal figures. You see a couple of ghostly figures that are standing about as well, just chatting away with their fellow guards. Some seem to be wearing armor. Some look like they're wearing just very mundane civilian-style clothing, as if that's what they had when they died, and that's what they have.
Gifton's all smiles and sweet waving until she sees ghosts, and then she stiffens up a bit.
One of the ghosts will actually take off a sort of wide-brimmed hat they have and just give a little bow to you as you pass by, and you get a few acknowledging
very
nods.
Shy wave.
Notably, most of these do straighten up and salute to looks like Luther himself. There's a few, and Wilhelm actually pauses a couple of times, exchanging a few little joking things with a couple of the guards, who reciprocate very readily. And
how do they all look to me? Like, does Gifton see like a lot of bad energy?
No,
Good.
You see the same sort of mix that you would just anywhere. They read okay. There's a few that might have ill tempers, but otherwise they're normal people. It feels.
Yes, I was gonna just say kind of casually, like to Carrot, they'll have very pretty souls, just like people in Dulwood.
That's a good thing, right?
Yeah.
There's a very soft chuckle from Wilhelm, and Gifton, and I don't know. Basically, all of you will notice. Shaxton, you're hearing your native language. You're hearing Hexenreich, just as you would expect.
Mhm.
Gifton, they're talking in clear Baratheon to each other as you pass by.
They all speak Baratheon here.
Telde? They are speaking in whatever you consider to be your native tongue at this point. With your travels, I'm not actually too sure of saying that it is Baratheon.
Well, I was originally going to say Baratheon.
Mhm.
You do bring up a reasonable point.
You spent a lot longer elsewhere, so you know.
Ancient Sahan.
Yeah, you might be hearing Saharan at this point.
Would I be able to roll Arcane check given that I just heard Gifton say they're all speaking Baratheon? I know I'm not hearing that.
You know that? Yeah, you can roll a check to see if, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Frankly, it's not required, though.
I see.
If she's hearing something different from you, you can make whatever guess you want.
Mm. Checks actually be as a some kind of translation magic.
Wilhelm actually turns his head back to look back over his shoulder and goes, "Oh, yes, Voromir is covered in arcane ruins. It's part of existing in this country. You must create your own wards, your own safe space, and considering a lot of our citizenship comes from various locations, early on in Voromir's life, it was decided that having translation magic woven into the city itself was a good idea."
That's really lovely and smart. And yes, I saw your buildings look kind of like there's like from different places, but they're all really nicely together.
Oh, I'm glad you think so. I am very fond of our cityscape itself. I think it encapsulates our culture. It's just a beautiful mishmash that comes to create a greater whole.
I don't know very much at all about Faramir. I am very sorry.
Not many do. It's to be understood. But still, I hope that you can learn a little about us while you're here. And
Hope so. Oh, if you have a map, we could go over. We saw some airships on the way here, contingent of dragons, some anti-air among the riled out there that are moving not too far from your gates.
oh, that would be very good information to have. Once we are done with our meeting, will be supplied a map, and he sort of says that looking into Lufa, who just nods and goes, although I'm sure that will be Melinda's purview. Still.
Well, I'm very happy to share whatever information we have about locations. We also have over to Beck a list of fallen locations in Hexenreich that they were in contact with before we picked them up.
Yes. I'm very sorry about what is happening to you and yours. He says, addressing Beck directly, and Beck just sort of gives a little nod. Beck, despite all of his speak of, his family having had contact with Voromir and how they're not so bad, does seem a little out of his element. Like, he is surrounded by the dead, and it is clearly spooking him a little bit, though he's trying to be polite and composed. And eventually you are led out of the sort of inner structure of the wall, out onto the city streets. It's still light out, the...
Gibson is looking for street vendors that sell food. Just for purposes of her and Dingus are always looking for those things. So she's kind of doing this look around for something she expects to see, and out of character, it won't be there.
So as you're actually led through the streets, you do see people walking about, and it is definitely a mishmash. There are different kinds of undead. When I say, there are skeletal figures, some of them might have like strange augmentation on them. Some might have like sort of wrappings around bones. There are different dress styles here. Some are relatively lightly clad. Some are covered in heavy robes. There are different cultures here represented, which, Gifton, I'd say you recognize some of these clothing styles because you did a lot of reading about different countries, manner of dress. But it is predominantly Shaxon and Corvus would use here. It is predominantly Hexenreich stylings. Maybe the slight variances you expect of your neighbouring countries here and so on, but it's definitely this continent styling is in the majority.
Mm-hmm.
There are vendors. You do pass. They don't have like the city stalls that you're used to in Wyndon and so on. There's no sort of crowding in the streets, but there are storefronts. And you do pass very clear stores. There are tailoring shops. You see a magical store. Seems like there's a tinker shop there. But notably, there is a complete absence of any food-based street vending.
Your son's gonna like whisper to Dinkus. Oh, I bet you we can get some great cloth there. We can make something really nice. I have
Raise my
not
hand,
seen a single street meat merchant.
What's that?
As we're going through, I'm actually gonna see if like everybody appears to just be ghosts and skeletons of like what we're seeing besides our special.
Go ahead. Go ahead and give me. Everyone, just give me perception checks.
As soon as my character sheet wants to open.
It's loading so slow. Okay, I got it. Just pop you out and keep you off to the side.
Okay.
What I usually do.
Right. Gifton, you're just rolling and seeing a lot of skedimans and so on. Everyone else.
That's just a blur of people to me at this point.
Yeah. The skeleton styling and does seem to be the most predominant, as if like maybe this is this country's primary form of necromantic raising that's been applied to whatever creates the sentience. However, there you do see more than that. You see a few that are clearly zombie-like or ghoul-like, although there does seem to be an effort to hide any decaying flesh or so on. Like the styling definitely goes towards wrapping that up or covering it up with silks and so on. There are most of you can make the distinction between things like wraiths and actual ghosts and so on. There's a few of those scattered about. There's what looks like just to be people every now and then, which doesn't really tell you too much, although those with you with true sight, some of them will actually have a faint translucency, some of them will have just other little tells that there's not quite right. But there is a variety of undead here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Everything.
There's a bit of everything.
I was trying to remember.
Mhm.
Because we've had a couple dealings with her count. We couldn't tell just by looking at him, if I remember correctly.
You could not tell, no.
Okay.
Beyond like, hey, there are fangs.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
But like, making sure there isn't.
Basically,
like,
it's the true form, and that's what you see for those with true sight and so on. But yeah, you're living through streets, and notably, you've got this sort of like ground level city streets that you're walking through. But above you, there are arches that are clearly large bridges. You can see like heavy stonework stairs going up and up and up, rising around buildings, joining into others.
Stairs.
And even with the light in the city, still daytime, it does cast heavy shadows just because of the architecture. And thus you do see like these dimly lit, just enough to give sort of some natural light to torches. They vary in colour in spots, like maybe this building is actually doing its own and so forth. Most of them do seem to be magical, like very small glittering lights, faint just glowing orbs, a whole different variety. Yes, there are. You pass by gardens at a few points. Every like couple of streets, you might see like a sort of small patch of grass with like a small tree in it. At one point, you will pass by what looks like to be a gated entrance to a large garden. And I say gated as in it's open to the public, but it's clearly got gates that can be closed off. Yeah, there's parks. There's life. You even see someone tending to them. Looks like to be a skeleton in just casual farming work clothes. Just
Totally
like
waving at that guy.
yeah, and they'll give you a little wave back. And all the while, Wilhelm is like just talking about he's naming off streets. He's giving you sort of like random names of like, hey, he founded this building over here, which was one of the first of this country's citizenship to join us. And he's basically giving you the little tour guide spiel. It's informative, but like
Overwhelming
yes. and somewhat useless information. It's just
You actually should be paying attention to this.
Yeah. If that's the kind of thing that interests someone, yeah, you're getting a lot of this. But it's not, something you could really use beyond, hey, getting around.
Like, yeah, you'll also be asking like architectural question, but not like stuff like, hey, what's the strength of this? But like, why is this designed that way? And like, what influence did this have on that and that sort of thing? Because he's like pointing out like combinations between like this culture and that culture.
Insight checks from everybody then.
Inside.
Also, I'm bumping mine to a 25.
Hello.
Okay. Yeah, he's not really trying to hide it. So I'm gonna say everybody gets this. A lot of the answers seem truthful. A lot of them seem made up, but not in a way to like mislead you or such. Just I don't know, but I'm gonna continue the fun tour guide thing.
Great.
At one point, Luther even did like the glowing flame of his head sort of moves a bit. If you think he might be shaking it.
I was expecting you to say it was kind of that turn of like, wait, that's not right.
But eventually, you are led to what looks like to be a mausoleum of Hexenwick styling. It's in a large open plaza where there looks like to be a sort of ring or what's the term? It's a Miranda? No. Basically a ring of benches, little stages, little cuts of flowers and greenery, just to create this like big central location that has this mausoleum in it that they will then lead you into. Luther will actually pause and just he seems to dismiss a few of his men. A couple come stand at the gate while the other four just go off elsewhere, apparently having other people on duties they were pulled away from. And Wilhelm will give a sort of exaggerated little flourish of his arm as the doors to this mausoleum open up, and he goes, welcome to the council building of Boromir.
What?
Thank you, and thank you for the tour.
Yeah, it was a very lovely tour. I learned a lot, but I think I lost most of it, though. That was a lot of information. You know a lot about your town.
Oh, I must know everything about this town, just so I can pass it on to visitors such as yourselves. Please, this way, and this mausoleum, the doors open, and it is a large set of staircases that go directly down.
You probably don't bring all the refugee representatives in here.
No, not all of the refugee representatives come flying a Beressian flag on a large an airship. Nor are they as varied a group as yourselves.
Oh, okay. I just want to be clear, like, I'm out of my pay grade for diplomacy matters, and I will get in trouble with the High General if I sign anything like last time.
Well, I will have you know, and he's gonna sort of lean in a bit, and there's that wide skeletal grin that just never goes away as he says, that is my favorite kind of diplomat to have over.
Oh no.
Ass is just gonna mutter, Gifton has finally met her match.
And Luther's actually going to like sort of grab his shoulder a little bit, as not roughly, just taking it and sort of turning him away to go down the stairs and go, don't tease them, Wilhelm. It is not nice. And
You have to look over at Carrick and go, I'm in danger. I told them they shouldn't promote me.
Well, maybe they'll learn for next time.
Next time?
Characters can
This
start
time in it!
Characters can start walking down.
Alright, you start walking down, and the doors close behind you. Seems by magical apparatus. And inside is not dim and grim. It is very, very well lit. And there are rather lovely sort of murals painted onto the stonework of this staircase as you head downwards. It seems to just show signs of cooperation and all of the lovely sort of huffy fluffy governmental stuff you see in a government building.
Oh, so there's all these murals of people shaking hands and looking
yes,
happy with
basically.
each other. Yes.
Racial diversity.
Yeah.
How does a ghost shake hands with a skeleton?
And as you're starting to head down, Wilhelm goes, now I must make a confession.
Uh-oh.
Yes.
Your
Are we on our
party... No, nothing of the sort. You're free to go as you please. But your party isn't entirely unknown to us.
Oh, good, because you're completely known to us. I hope that's okay. We were sent here on purpose.
No, that is fine. We don't know too much about you, I'll be frank, but, your exploits have gotten out of your country.
That's not
Oh,
surprising.
that's a different path than I thought this was going.
And,
We have been out of the country a few times.
yes, indeed you have. Yes, everyone knows everyone has contacts elsewhere, and we're no strangers to that. We have ears, friendly ears, he says, gesturing with his hands, over in Brass, and, well, you're famous.
Oh.
I hope in a good way.
I think that you've done more good than harm.
And the GM says sell up.
We're doomed.
Luther's actually going to pipe up at that point and go, you've rooted out corruption, you've stopped conflict where it would grow. I would say that is a good thing to hear about.
Oh, you've heard about the nice things we've done. That's good.
Yes, indeed.
Look at
Yes, those are the only things that we have done. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
Out of character, you of all people.
Yes, definitely.
And, well, I mean, they do say that you have ears that will listen to you in quite grand places.
That does seem to be.
How grand is your scheme of grand? Because there's some varying levels there.
That's a good confirmation. Thank you.
Damn it. I don't want to talk to him anymore. I sort of look at Garrett. You talk to him now. That's how this works.
Okay.
Ethan is like doing the motion of
Jack will-
zipping it and throwing away the key.
Checks will call me Pat Gift because sometimes gifting needs learn to saying less.
And Luther's actually going to shove the back of Wilhelm as if like urging him fast down the stairs and go forward and get everyone prepared. Leave them alone. And Wilhelm's going to like bring his hands up to his chest as if looking shocked and well, if you want alone time with our fine guest, far be it for me to stop you. And he's just going to sort of hurry ahead down the stairs. And Luther's just going to turn back to you and just go, I apologize.
He enjoys
No
tormenting the new folks, doesn't he?
He enjoys talking.
It's very obvious, and
Oh,
he
that's perfectly fine.
doesn't seem to be trying to cause any harm. So
Well, he might try to poke fun. He is a good man in his own right. Most of the time. And Luther will actually pause on the stairwell and turn to the rest of you and go, I can see ill intent in people. You carry none towards us. Although the one that went to the village, he has misgivings, mistrust.
Yeah, have a very pretty soul.
Oh, it pleases me greatly to hear that.
He is a very interesting case study in some things.
It's very bright. Corvus would probably hate it.
I have a question to the GM before I ask this question.
Yes.
Because I want to make sure. Luther is. I know you said there was 2 different names. Is this something that I can make a check to see if I can, have heard of, read of before?
You're trying to. You're trying to identify his type of undead.
Yes.
Yeah, you can give me a religion or arcana roll.
There.
We did this last time.
You
We
did.
did it for his armor.
I did it. So just a general identification.
I thought it was because Telde found out he was a Doulahan last time, or whatever.
Well,
but Carrick.
He looks like he could be. I was curious to see if
someone else wants to try, they're welcome to.
See if. Oh, that's a low roll.
There's a low roll. Yeah, you actually get about the same as Telde.
Is that something that's common?
Doulahans? Not common. Like they're not a common occurrence, but people know about them in story.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's one of those. One of those things I should go.
Yeah, he does come off as Doulahan to you as well. Just that whole headless visage thing. Except Doulahans tend to have to carry their heads with them, and he just seems to have a bear helmet at his side.
Jax will actually put the fingers and go, that's what I meant to.
Corvus always complains whenever anybody's bright.
I meant to ask earlier, but there was not an opportune moment for it. But the armor is ancient Demorian iconography, is it not?
Yes, you recognise the faith.
I have had learnings in many different regions of that.
An unusual sight around here, but it is important to me.
That is understandable.
You'll find that, most mausoleums, other cultures and buildings of death, even those that worship other gods, will pay some small homage to him, or it is lacking here. Most do not feel comfortable putting the symbol of something that they feel would invite their end.
That does stand to reason.
Yes, which I will tell you that unfortunately my god is a touchy subject for some of the citizenry here.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
I mean, it does make sense with.
I mean, does it really? Because I guess it kind of does. I didn't pay attention when Father Stone talked a lot sometimes.
Remember how he got his priesthood.
I mean, I always thought we didn't but that was because those ghosts were being tormented and forced to do things, and that wasn't good. They were desecrated. That's completely different, right? Because these people are just people continuing on, and I mean, they just found a workaround from the body wearing out.
In general, my lord does not look kindly on undead, any kind, intelligent or not. But, well, I believe I am here for a purpose. Perhaps that is to learn, change.
Learning can bring changes that help people and even groups grow. So
yes, so I embrace those here. I treat them as my own, and when the Lord finally calls me to return, I will take to him what I have learnt. And I believe he will see that there is goodness here.
I think he will too. He is a bit more understanding than people would say. I smile.
Please, if you have any other questions, I will give you a far more straight answer than Wilhelm would. This is also okay to not to have questions. They may come to you later.
We have heard stories that you're able to cure the madness of the dragon. Is that true?
That one, perhaps best left until we reach the chambers.
Fair.
Can I ask, because your country is right here. Do you know when it started?
Yes, well, we can put together perhaps a better image than Veracian intelligence would be able to.
Yeah, because we kind of have a gap of suddenly it all went wrong. It was like, I don't know, like a year and a half ago it started going bad over with us.
Close. There were subtle signs a little further back than that. Small little incidents. Even just murmurings, some priests acting just a little differently, not the full-blown madness that has taken them now.
Do you know if anybody's been to the Eye of Morgani since it happened?
No, I do not know of.
Because I know the constellation disappeared, but we don't know exactly when it disappeared.
Yes.
The holy site is not one of ours, and frankly is too far away for us to really check.
I understand. I just wasn't sure if with the refugees you'd gotten, maybe you'd gotten some extra information.
He shakes his head a little bit and goes, if they do, it's not being shared with us. But perhaps after we are done here, if you want to go and talk, ask around, you're more than welcome to.
That may be prudent to do, possibly.
We have a long-range radio with us. We can actually get in contact with people more in charge in Barast to help coordinate anything.
Yes.
That will be good. I should save the rest. And he sort of just beckons you to follow him and continues down the stairs. And it's just sort of on the way, he's just saying, overstepped my bounds a little. Wilhelm really should be deciding how we're interacting with the others.
It's okay. I appreciate you not putting me too much on the spot. I'm gonna kind of go. You see, I kind of got made a general after I was already coming here, and it was kind of just I think a whim of the king at the time, and it wasn't because I was coming here, it's because of something else, because you know the first dragons are coming, because the first dragons are coming, and that's a whole big spitball of problems that's going to be welling up.
He's put my hand on her shoulder.
He looks back again and goes, duty often falls on the shoulders of the unprepared, but the strong will make do with it as they must.
You sound like a freaking priest.
I was a priest, child.
I was gonna say.
No, you are a priest, sir.
And he pauses briefly and then just inclines his shoulders towards you as if that is a very good reminder. I thank you. And finally, you reach the bottom.
Is completely confused by that interchange.
You reach the bottom of the stairs, and he pushes open a set of large wooden doors. Like, if this were a natural place, he wouldn't be able to do this. But they are cavalry wide, and Shackton, this will actually like ring bells to you. This actually feels a lot of Capitol buildings you saw. Instantly the architect.
Dragons in.
Yes, that's what the architecture instantly starts ringing bells in your head for. And as the doors open, they reveal a very, very large chamber. There is a sort of rounded wooden table in the center, although hollow in the center, and a small gap facing you, as if to allow people into the center of it. Sequestered around the table are 6 waiting figures. Sorry, I had to count. What probably grabs your attention immediately are the 2 draconic figures, full scale, both skeletal, although one appears to be smaller than the other, and is covered in just like very sensible Hexenreich style shrouding. There is just the drapery over its back, covering its wings in proud Hexenreich sort of reds and golds, and it's just a sort of rather resplendent, but despite the ostentatious golds, composed figure. It's a sensible cut.
The smaller one or the bigger one?
That's the smaller one.
Okay.
The larger one instantly rings bells with a couple of you because there are some very, very clear Saharan stylings in its dress. It's got more bonework actually exposed, like there are almost transparent silks that let you see through to like a ribcage that has like gold bands wrapped around them. The horns are decorated like dangling pieces of metal coming from them. And these draconic figures are on either side of this table, opposite each other, and do dominate the view for a moment, but soon enough you will notice a far smaller figure, looks humanoid, just sitting at the head of the table, basically directly opposite of where you have entered. The dress suggests a female form. They have their head bared, but there is some minor decoration. You see a sort of a silver band with a gem set in the center around the sort of skeletal head. There is a faint purple glow to their eyes, and they have what looks like to be a sort of thick sash of purple going across their chest. But otherwise they look like they're dressed like much like any sort of government official you've seen in Wyndon. Some slight different cut stylings and so on, but
in general feel.
Yeah. Beside them is another skeletal figure who is wearing far more casual stylings. Has a sort of open waistcoat over a just what looks like to be a cotton shirt. Sorry. But the sort of immediate thing that you notice about them is they are not skeletal, they are not ghosts, they are nothing like that. They look like they have a sort of, well, crafted female face. It looks almost like a porcelain doll. But there are some sort of clear seams where like the jaw could move, the cheeks are able to shift a little bit to accommodate different positions. They have a sort of a wig made of what looks to be very natural looking black hair that is right now just tied back in a ponytail. And they are wearing what looks like to be very Noran style clothing. It's a very beautiful dress, large, flowing. The sleeves are like wider sleeved at the end. There's sort of poof to the shoulders. Yeah,
So
that's right.
Person sized?
They are person sized.
Okay.
I'll be the one that actually piques Shaq's curiosity.
Yeah, and because they're not at the head of the table, you can see a slight angle to them. Looks like there is like something metallic behind them attached to their back. You can't quite get a good angle on it. A bit of an odd sight is a large. Yeah, you guys would know what a sarcophagus is. I'm pretty sure, especially you, Telday. There is a clear.
Just because I slept in one for several years.
There is a sarcophagus there that has clear hexametric stylings to it. It's standing upright. Appears to be mounted on what looks like to be 6. Mechanical is the wrong word, because that would suggest like mechanics driving them. But there are 6 legs that have jointing that are supporting this, holding it upright. And yeah, there's Saharan stylings on the front. Looks like it's like depicting a knoll. Most of you know what a knoll is.
We know what a knoll is.
Yeah, you know what a knoll is. And it's covered in Saharan inscriptions and so on. Currently closed. And there is also Wilhelm sitting there as well, who just gives you a sort of casual wave as you come on in.
I wave at Wilhelm.
And Luther will sort of just gesture to the sort of center of that table ring before he starts to move to take a seat.
I guess we go to the table ring.
As a small question, is there any kind of rule that would be able to be done on the sarcophagus for possibly pinging anything for Shax's historical knowledge?
Yeah, everyone can try a history check if they so want. But Telday, advantage.
I want a quick check, make sure I wrote down that correct. You said the sarcophagus is Hexenrite style, but
Saharan. I may have misspoken and said Hexenrite.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm bumping mine to a 31.
Okay.
Man, I did shit. I'm sorry.
I was just rewriting that. So give me a second. So I can click.
Tilde was there the day that man was interred.
That might be the cause that man was interred.
Don't think I got high enough.
Oh, that would be a bad thing.
No.
Think on sarcophagus. I remember you.
Carrick? Not Carrick. Gifton? You want to try? Okay. All right.
I don't know.
Right,
I don't know.
In that case, this is kind of fitting. Shaxton, while you can't really pinpoint the exactness of it, this is actually in line because it's got some, what you would consider to be some ancient Hexenreich influences on its Saharan styling. This looks like it is from the reign of Ursentil the Tyrant over in Sahar. Telde.
You were there when they...
You were there the day that the grand citywide ceremony was held for the interment of Toric VII, one of Ursentil's favoured gnolls, a personal friend and bodyguard of her, much like the predecessors in his family.
No.
And it's looking at that...
I had that name in some time.
Yeah, it's looking at that. Man, I can't believe you fucking 42 bullshit. It's looking at that and then looking at the Saharan-clad dragon that things might click. By the way, that dragon is looking at you, Telde, and there's a slightly quizzical tilt to their head.
I'm gonna go, Telde, did you make any friends in Sahar?
Did you make any
Yes.
enemies in Sahar?
Most definitely.
They can introduce us.
I believe most of them are dead.
Tell us we need to run.
Well, that's not really a problem here.
Telde,
It did not used to be.
Telde, I'm gonna ask you, how commonly did you use the name Telde back in the days?
Not at all if I was ever in a turtle form, but
in your escapades as the armored figure?
You were Telde. You know what? You know you were Telde.
yeah, I was probably Tilde at least at times. Yeah.
There is a increase to the glow in the eyes of the Saharan-clad dragon, and a sort of feminine rumbling voice just sort of echoes from a opening maw, and you just hear the words, "Unbelievable."
I
do not believe that we dated, though.
Wait, you dated during the 10,000 years? I'm gonna say that.
10,000 years, are you really surprised?
And you didn't tell me?
I want to get back to the matter at hand.
Wilhelm was actually looking between the group at you, looking at this large dragon, and going, "Melinda, do you know them?" "Know of one of them." He was a well-deserved nuisance in my previous life. Oh, well. Then we have some old bones here, I suppose. He says, as if he's made a grand joke, does not get any response from the rest of the table.
Jason's actually snickering.
Yeah.
Melinda, that is not a memorable name.
But it is my name now.
An actual thing of realizing what's happening there in chat.
Yeah, I mean, you can make whatever assumptions you so please, frankly.
Mm.
But yeah,
Zahan, no Telde. Nuisance.
I mean,
If we all know that can fit at times.
Yes, you just hear, this is the name I use now, nonetheless.
You'll be pleased to know his manners haven't changed.
Right.
Oh, so you would... I see.
I never got to encounter his manners firsthand, only through
So
reports.
probably for the best.
Oh.
Yeah, probably best.
Well, we leave our past behind, don't we, Melinda? Wilhelm says, sort of looking up at the dragon, who just nods her head slowly. And Wilhelm stands at the table and goes, well, introductions are in order. You already know our dear Melinda here, he says, gesturing up.
I'm gonna give her a shy wave.
He gestures to the other Dracolich, goes, this is Sigmund, a recent council member. Over here we have our dear Founder, our eldest. He sort of gestures at the central figure. You all know Lufa. Otto...
Keep up with curtsying.
Otto is in his box, as he is wont to be. Otto, you'll
Hello,
come out...
Boxman!
You'll come out at some point, won't you, Otto? Yes, he'll come out. And
just a shake.
And finally, we have our beautiful Annalisa here, he says, gesturing to the doll-like figure. Annalisa is our seat of progress. She oversees the construction and maintenance and, well, just the general well-oiled operation of our city. She keeps it running beautifully.
The city is very beautiful.
The strange mouth sort of opens up. There's no like up and down movement to it. It just opens, and you hear, "Thank you." Founder is our head of magical affairs. Grand wizard, very powerful, smart lady. He says, again, smiling at her, and Fouder's
Very proud of everything.
Yeah, Fouder's little eye orbs seem to roll. Sigmund is our governor of law, you could say. Helps us codify new regulations, all of the boring stuff. It is not boring, you hear Lee Dracolich say. It is important, interesting, and vital to the fair representation and running of our city. Yes. What? As he says, Otto is our coin keeper, handles our spending matters, probably in there counting his coins right now.
Just rattles slightly.
You know me, I am your kind diplomat who you will be spending so much time talking to. Lufa here is our seat of society. He brings the needs of the citizenry directly to us. He is our tether between them to keep us grounded. And Lufa actually seems to give a derisive snort at that, as if, yes, grounded. And Melinda is our seat of defense. She oversees the, defense of the city, which, as you can imagine, right now is a rather important duty.
As we were telling Luther on the way up, we can give some information of different movements we saw on the way up. We saw an airship, some dragons, some anti-air squadrons and stuff like that, various troop movements. So if you provide a map, we can try and give you information on where they were going and when we saw them last. That might help you out.
I would very much appreciate any information you have.
Also, Sergeant Beck here might have some information of which of the various installations we were on the way by that we knew fell. As we were trying to find a place for these poor refugees.
Speaking of Beck, he is looking at the dragons as if he's trying to be polite and composed, but these are kind of abominable. As if these are the figureheads of his society.
Can I put a reassuring hand on his shoulder?
Yes. I can provide locations. Yes.
I know it's a lot. You're doing fine.
But grand. I do believe we have some matters of your passengers to discuss, as well as why you've actually come here.
That also.
Yes.
Luther says, you made mention of the curing the dragon's madness.
Mm-hmm.
I'll let Founder explain this one. And Felder just looks over it and goes, "Oh, you'll let me. Very kind of you, Luther. Yes, the dragon's madness. What do you understand of the affliction?"
Faith-based. It's related to the connection of Morgani, her followers, and possibly the first dragons.
Yes, that is, close to what we have.
The first dragons are loose and they're on their way here. Some of them, I'm not entirely certain, might not already be here.
She just nods as if this is not actually new information.
I have Morgani's missing from the sky, and Morgani's angels don't know how to find her.
Oh, yes. So, faith connecting them to their god, and lust letting them be driven to madness through that teva. How would you go about curing that?
There are several methods of removing faith completely from somebody, untethering their soul from it. But, side effects.
Well, we have a fairly common method.
Kills them and revive them?
Not revival as such, but the use of a phylactery.
I'm gonna make a check on that word.
Yeah.
Arcane.
Arcane. Go ahead. Yeah, you basically know most of the ins and outs of an phylactery. You might not know how to actually make one yourself, but you know their purpose, what they do.
Jack's actually have one-handed.
Gifton, you might have heard of them, maybe, but
well, we got told about it by the Dreamer that we needed a phylactery for Morgani.
Yep.
Yeah, for the.
Did you make one for Morgani?
We don't need it for Morgani. We need it for the magic.
No, we needed it for Morgani.
Well, it was used for it. It's to get one of the firsts to restore her.
Yes, it's not being used on Morgani. It's being used on the. I believe it was the magic of this, or the mind, and then you giving that to Morgani to restore her.
The mental.
The mental.
Felder actually leans back in her chair a little bit, her arms crossing over her chest, and she goes, "Well, that's a grand aspiration.
I mean, fix the source, right?
That is the logical conclusion. The going about it, though, that's a greater endeavor than the simple words would suggest."
Yes, very much so. But.
And Annalisa goes, "It's too big a task and not really possible, I don't think." And Felder actually just raised his hand and goes, "But I didn't say not possible. But..." And
what if you were in fact capable of using some kind of magic metal that could enhance, the magic that you use like hundreds of times fold?
She's gonna lean back forward, her elbow settling on a desk, her hands sort of clasping in front of her, and she's just sort of regarding you curiously. And Wilhelm goes, "You don't really keep your cards close to your chest, do you?"
She's not Secreted, not no.
They sent the wrong general. I told you that on the way down, didn't I?
"I like this one. She does not bandy her words," Felder says. If you have such a material in great enough quantity, then any feat could be achieved.
I'll be honest, I got sent over here to deal with the problem of the first dragons, because we have a first dragon about to drop right on Barast. We happen to know the time and date and the location of it coming down, impacting and destroying an entire city in Barast. I'm trying to circumvent that right now, so I'm doing what I can to get ahead of things.
How did you obtain this information? Our divination has not been able to.
Adventuring bullshit. It's just what happens. Okay, we've been all over the place. We've built a forge. We've got some magic metal that fell from the sky. I can tell you that when I cast magic on it, it affects nearly all of Barast. It's pretty crazy and awesome. So we're.
Luke, put my shoulder on. Okay, we don't have to say everything at once.
You're going too far the other direction now.
Oh, okay.
Luther's actually going to raise his hand briefly.
Make a motion. Right, Carrot, you talk.
Before we continue on these matters and we lose you to Fowler entirely, perhaps we should resolve the relatively simpler matter of your refugees.
Yes, let's begin with that.
Are they seeking entry into the city?
Some are. While some are seeking refuge until things in Hexenreich are able to be more tenable for them, and others are hoping through methods we can supply to be transported to Barath.
Yes, which we cannot do through the wards of Hexenreich.
Thankfully, we are not beholden towards Hexenreich. One of the agreements between our government and yours, he says, inclining his head towards Shaxton, guaranteed our independence in return for some small things. So transport would not be a problem, providing that Barath was welcome to us, opening a passageway to them.
Given the ways that our group has of traveling to ourselves, I think they are tenable, Judge. We have also informed them ahead of time before already.
Yes, a couple of us have transportation magics of our own also to assist with the transport so that...
I would appreciate it if you did not try using your own magic within the city until a little more trust has been established between us.
Completely understandable.
In that case, before we are able to let those that wish to come and transport to your own country, we must check them first. You must know that there have been attempts at breaches from those that have hidden amongst the refugees. Those crazy enough to worship the things that they do, but still composed enough to be subtle, devious.
Having dealt with one of a relatively early madness firsthand, I am not surprised.
In that case, provided that I get a good look at them, make sure they are not carrying anything untowards, we would be able to grant them passage through to our circle. Do you have a direct you said you had a direct contact with your government?
We do.
And then you would have to provide us one of their circle addresses. Get your permission for that you need. Yes, and we will see it done.
Jax will actually does go. If I have your leave for it, I can actually contact him right now.
Please. And he'll just sit back and the chamber falls silent.
Jack will calmly put his hand to his sending thing and attempt to contact Stenhouse.
Okay. You see Fowler actually waves her hands briefly as if disabling something. Your radio seems to, it doesn't have the usual static it has when traveling through the blocking areas. And after a moment, you actually hear, yes, hello? Is that Shaxton?
Yes, it is, Herr Stenhouse. We are standing currently in Firmware with the council. They are
bugging me. Okay.
They are looking for permission for use of a teleportation circle and the address of so that we can transport refugees out of here.
Let him know I personally know the one for both Winden and for Beacon. If one of those,
no way they're letting us do Winden. They might let us.
Yes, I know.
I
say I have it.
Eric volunteered that he does know the addresses for the one in Winden and the one in Beacon.
Winden is that's going to be a hard sell. I tell you that now. I think that's a no-go. Beacon, no. I mean, it's either Beacon or one of our less important but still protected ones. Is there somebody there I'd speak to?
Out of character, I'm fairly certain I still have to be the one activating it to be able to use back and forth on it.
Yep.
Actual admittedly, I still have to be the in-between on the use of the device we are using, but yes, we can talk to somebody.
One of us could go get though.
We could get the radio from the airship.
Yes.
Yes, actually, would the long-range radio be able to reach you as well?
Oh, yes, I'm sure we could manage that.
I could go back.
Yeah, Jack's actually turning up. We would like your permission to acquire from our ship our radio. It is able to make a connection between us and them without needing me as the in-between, therefore you lose less in the document.
Well then, Wilhelm's actually going to stand up and go, in that case, perhaps that is... They're willing to talk to us, yes?
Mm-hmm.
Right, then we get things arranged. I'll sort out that. Luffy, you handle the ones that are staying. And Luffy just nods, and Wilhelm's actually already going to start moving out from behind the table. And he's just going to say, I vote in whatever they're in favour of, as long as it's not blowing us up.
We can probably also volunteer information that if any of the refugees that you have outside are wanting to relocate, that can probably be arranged as well to the Barast.
Gifton's gonna nod to that.
Good. We are providing for them as best we can, but we do not have food production, and our capabilities of summoning it magically are getting stretched.
I figured that taking some of the pressure off that would be useful.
It would.
And in the interest of working more openly, Valda, I believe we have a device in the ship that we acquired from the crazed, as that would be of interest to you.
More things of interest to me.
You pour magic into it, and you're able to cast things that otherwise you are not able to. I'm able to cast magic stronger than I normally have access to by using.
Well, it's always nice to see something new of that sort. It's not an unfamiliar kind of boost to me, but if I could take a look at it, I would be thankful.
I think that is more than fair. Do you all agree? And Jax will turn to the group.
I'm gonna nod.
I believe it would be helpful.
Alright, so...
Yeah, I'll nod.
In that case, Wilhelm gestures at you, Jackson. If you would take me to your wonderful radio, perhaps we can get that device and bring it back here?
Of course.
Do you want me to come, Jackson? I have a feeling.
Unless, of course, you have a long-distance radio already here, and then we could just give you the channel for Stenhouse that we're using.
There's a little moment of pause.
And are they attached to the box specifically for that sort of thing, or is it actually stays?
I thought it was a channel because I go back and forth between my house and Stenhouse because there's like a different thing, so I wasn't sure.
And
that's why I was asking that as a character. If that's what I went.
There's an actual pause as that sort of question hangs in the air, and a couple of gazes actually go to Melinda, who goes, "We have methods of communication, but they are used with trusted allies."
It may
Understood.
also be best, just as the generals may not want the contact that we are using to be handed
Keep
out yet.
The systems separate until things are ratified.
Yes.
Well, your radio it is then, and Wilhelm will go off with Carrick and Shaxon then.
Yeah, because I figure I'm going to be needed to move the device.
That's gonna look awkward.
Hug a dragon. Go hug the bone dragon.
So definitely what you should say is, so has anybody heard any good jokes lately?
I'm going to dote
Great
on Dingus. This is how I
space
cope. I'm coping by doting on Dingus.
There's
I think that with True Sight, they're saying a really weird thing with Dingus too.
yeah. Luther does occasionally linger his gaze on certain party members. But there's a small moment of silence as they depart, which is interrupted by what sounds like a sort of click and shifting of a lock before the sort of upper half of that sarcophagus then splits into two. Like the lower half of it is still closing in place, but the top half splits down the center and then raises on hinges that it's almost like beetle wings that come up, exposed in the front. And you see the upper half of a sort of bandaged wrapped, clearly no-like figure. And these bandages are rather beautiful. They are like...
Hello, box person!
They're deep purples with like just sort of woven gold and silver filigree through them. Like there is thread that went through these bandages.
Excited waiting.
And the person in the box looks at you waving frantically, sort of glances back about a bit and goes, "So let's people to feed." Yes. And Fowler just nods a little bit and goes, "Yes, less stress on the coffers." Very good, very good. Okay.
Also, is there any materials we can bring over to help you with defenses?
I don't know. Are there? Melinda asks. Of course, there are many things we could use for defense. It depends what you are willing to provide. And what you would want in return.
Well, I can't speak on behalf of the Baratheon government, but my noble house, and I know of another noble house, would be willing to help facilitate as much as we are able to within our means. So I don't know. Do you need herbs, magical reagents, ammo?
Are you expecting their attack soon?
They have been attacking us on and off. It seems disorganized, but has been growing in intensity. I believe that as we are one of the few large bastions standing before in other neighboring countries, that...
Also, are there any of your own citizens that might want to relocate for safety? Briefly for a time. I don't want this to be only accepting Hexenreichers.
Melinda's gaze actually goes off to Luther and he goes, "There's been worried murmurs, of course, but the fear of what waits outside the walls for our kind is so far greater than the threat of staying here.
My kind are accepted. Yours will be accepted as well."
Annalisa snorts with clear derision when you say that, Elday. The doll-like visage like clicking into place to show a sneer.
"I do not presume to speak for the government. Speak only for the place where I come from."
"I am sure that you would find better acceptance here than anywhere out there," Annalisa says.
They are family.
Family. Annalisa clearly seems annoyed by this, but falls silent, crossing her arms. Fowler looks at her and goes, "Annalisa, we leave things behind, remember." My apologies. Your assistance would be most welcome. I think I speak for most of us when I say, while we have many supplies to stand on our own, those that are used in, well...
Now that, and I could always try give them suddenly. I'm gonna shut up.
Luther looks at you, Gift, and goes, "If you wish to speak in confidence, no words will leave this chamber. We would swear it."
I was going to say, if anything, I could get you, maybe I could talk to a couple people I know who owe me some major favors and get you a layover in the Fae. It's pretty nice this time of year. You don't eat and drink, so I mean, or eat, right? You don't have food production. So
Felder holds her hand up quickly and goes, "So you do have contacts within the Feywild?"
Yeah, Oberon owes me big.
And in that case, that is another matter for us to discuss. Our city has some connections to the Feywild itself, a small segment that is cut off from the rest by the Hexenreich.
Yeah, it's a barren wasteland out there. It's bad.
And wasteland is a way to describe it. We have a small, struggling, but still intact section that is connected planarly to our location. We're on good terms with them. They would perhaps enjoy seeing more of their kind in a friendly manner. That
Do you
isn't
have Fae here?
not within the city itself, but we do have a portal that connects us to. You understand how the Feywild works? It's regions connecting to the real world.
Yeah.
Then
And you can see the walls where it gets thin.
yes. Well, the section that is here, it's still intact, but separated from the rest. So we've kept them in as supplied as we can, and they have shared secrets with us in turn. It has helped our magical development quite substantially.
Island of the Fae.
What was that, Topes?
Cass is just muttering Island of the Fae.
That's one way to describe it. An island, a refuge.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, please. You're welcome to speak. All of you are.
I'm not the good one at speaking.
Well,
Practice.
beyond our dear Wilhelm, most of us are not grand speakers well, although Luther can certainly hold a sermon. We still must get our points across, though, no?
Well, like I said, there are alternatives if you're not as comfortable among the rest of the mortal races. There are places of refuge that could be sought.
Fowler just shakes
I'll
that.
be honest, the Fae have no qualms with that kind of gesture. Your situation of continued life.
Luther, if you would take this question out to representatives, just to make sure they have the option. And Luther nods, and Fowler goes, I believe most of us don't have any desire to abandon this. In fact,
I mean only those that
yes,
could not
of
aid
course.
in defense and would be better to be kept safe somewhere.
Luther will pipe up with, even those that would not raise arms. I do know that many of them would rather perish here than. It is home in so many ways. This has been a refuge where there has been no other.
It's the same with a lot of the refugees from Hexenreich. Many would rather die on their soil than evacuate.
Yes, it is a little contradiction.
There is always the hope of coming back and reclaiming, and I think that people need to remember that. Just because you're moving for now doesn't mean forever.
Well, if you can assure a safe location for people, then indeed I will make sure that this is posted to the populace.
We will make as much contact as we are able.
In that case, after we are done here, I will take you to our Fae connections, and then I will go about informing people. But still, Fowler is going to stand up from behind the table as if, now eschewing the sort of official council styling that they've been doing here. Mm-hmm. She's just going to walk around closer to come address your group directly. And she goes, right. In that case, back to the arcane matters. You speak of a metal that is able to enhance magic substantially.
We've been told that we can be used to anchor the heavens and prevent them from falling. In case somebody needs to kill a god.
I can't kill a god. Huh. Well, that's an interesting thought.
Listen, there's some escalation thoughts, okay?
I can't say that the concept does not intrigue me, excite me even. But you must know that I can't really give an answer of whether it's possible without having some of the material to work with.
Our smiths have been working the metal a bit. Maybe I can bring you a sample if I can zip back to...
Yes, a sample would be very helpful.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
I have been given emergency permissions as a general in order to broach this matter with you as a result of our own experiences with Gifton's looking for the word that's a really good lie to tell about seeing the future. Visions and such that we have experienced giving us information that Furamir is integral to saving everybody. And that it is our cooperation with Furamir that will save so many. So I am very open to working with you on this.
The smaller Dracolich just shakes his head a little bit, and you just hear him going, oh, no small amount of pressure on us then.
No small amount of pressure on us either.
Welcome to the end of the world. Enjoy your fucking stay.
Yeah.
End of the world.
Yeah.
Well, Furamir does not believe such a thing to be. It will not happen. By our own hands. She says, giving you a sort of a short nod. Right. In that case, we shall arrange for your refugees to be seen through to once we have confirmation. Would you like quartering here?
Are you able to put us up? I don't want to impose with you have a lot on your plate already, and I can I'm maintaining a magical mansion on the airship right now.
Of
for
course,
the refugees.
Welcome to continue staying out there, but space is not the issue within here. It is, well, fear that has stopped us from opening our doors wide.
Yeah, you never know if the person you invite in is going to go crazy in the middle of the night, tear their own lips off, and then try to kill you.
I suppose our own fear is one of the things that we should consider in that, yes, but I more meant them.
Oh! That's right. They are scared of you.
Lufa chuckles a little bit and goes, she doesn't even think of us as something to fear. There's a good people, Founder. I did not doubt it.
Depending on the classification of who you ask, I'm not people.
Well then,
This is actually shaking her head, doing the side to side, like, yeah, that's true.
I was half expecting her to just repeat primitive and Hexenreich.
Gifted does thumb jab primitive.
in that case, you are welcome to stay in our city, perhaps give you a better understanding of us.
I would very much be welcome to that.
Annalisa, can you make sure they get some room inside perhaps one of the newer buildings? Annalisa is still scowling at the group of you, but she just nods and stands up and just turns to walk out of the council chambers. There are actually many doors leading off here, perhaps into more of a branching underground network. But she does not say goodbye, she just leaves.
Bye! It was nice to meet you.
Well, forgive her. She has some small issues with the living still.
It's the first time someone's really not liked me, and I haven't opened my mouth really that much.
Luther is actually going to pipe up and go, if you don't mind me asking, he sort of holds his hand out towards you, Cassie, is like, I've forgotten your name, even though he may not have even been given it, but
I introduced everybody blanketly at one point, but it's been kind of quick.
Yes?
He wants your name, Cassie.
Oh, I'm Cassiopeia Steelshod.
Cassiopeia Steelshod. It is impolite for us here to inquire into each other's pasts, but I can't but help notice that you are... He seems to be trying to think of a delicate way to put this before he goes.
He's a centaur.
Clean.
A centaur indeed, and one that has met death.
Yes, and only part of me came back.
Well, then...
Technically, we've all met death.
She was a Nephilim.
Oh, really now? Fowler looks interested at this. You've, departed from your divine essence?
It's still where I was, and it does not like me.
Ah, in the Borderlands.
The Under Pocket.
The false bottom.
Yeah.
Well, those are certainly names I've not heard for it before, but okay, that makes sense. Well,
I'm a carpenter. It makes sense to me.
Ah, yes, I suppose it would. Well, I suppose at least that is a target off your back.
The target really wasn't there. It kind of got pulled, and then other things happened.
Well,
I mean, at least, Cassie, no one ever tried to sell you.
And do you know what would have happened to them if they tried?
Probably very similar to what I experienced.
Melinda is looking back and forth at this discourse before she goes, "Are we adjourned? I have some rather important matters to attend to, you know."
Could we have walked back in by now?
Yeah, well, actually, no. It's pretty deep into the city.
It was quite of a walk.
Yeah.
I really wanted to just have Jackson go, well, you know, you may as well tell us the entire story if we're going to keep dropping tidbits like this.
Yeah, Melinda does not seem to be interested in the story. She's just impatient. Before Fowler goes, "Oh, yes, then I call this meeting over. We'll handle this in more informal matters,
It was
assuming...
nice to meet you. I'm sorry Telday was a dick to you at some point.
Assuming that we all agree to this process, and there's a bunch of nods. Otto just goes, "Doesn't affect the cough as much, so all good." And the sarcophagus closes.
Slam shut.
Yeah.
Wheels away.
Yeah. Right, that is the majority, considering Wilhelm's fault. Right. In that case, if you please, shall we go somewhere more comfortable?
Oh, sure.
And she is going to lead you off into basically some side chambers where there is actual comfortable seating in here, you know, cushioned chairs, everything. And she's going to sit down. Luther comes along, whereas the two Dracoliches depart, along with Otto, and of course Wilhelm and Annalisa have already gone.
Mm-hmm.
And
you cleared out all your NPCs almost.
yeah, it's so great.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to have them talk to each other anymore.
Fuck yeah. And it looks like this might be... Office is a bit much of work considering a lot of the sort of seating in here looks like it is meant for relaxing, but there is a desk in here, which Fowler just sort of takes a seat behind. And she goes, "I would offer you refreshments, but if you are able to conjure in such things yourself, you are more than welcome to." I must confess, I have not prepared such spells myself today.
Wiggle my fingers excitedly and pull a biscuit out of my backpack and offer it to Dingus.
The greatest magic of all, storage.
Yeah.
And Dingus is going to meet happily and eat it, which Dingus seems incredibly unfazed by any of this. Although you did get like little confused shapes about the Dracoliches.
Mm-hmm. Bingo.
Yeah, where's skin? Not eat good.
Skeleton.
Eat your bread so you keep your skin, okay?
Meep, meep. And there's a fake moment of fond looking from Fowler at Dingus, as if like recalling something so long ago.
You want to pet him?
If he is not going to object.
No gonna object.
Meep, meep, meep. And she'll get back up, and she will actually come and rather affectionately stroke down Dingus's sort of neck, just with a couple of fingers. But Dingus like happy wiggles at that, and she goes, "Oh, he's a cutie, isn't he? I had one myself back in my acolyte days."
Aw.
Yes, too long ago now.
We found each other in the woods.
Oh, really? Oh,
His old owner attempted to kill me.
what?
He's not here.
That's what you
Yes.
say.
If you don't mind me asking, what manner of fae are you?
Complicated. Very
Yes.
complicated.
Yes, you are a quite striking mix of Divinity and Feywild.
Yeah, I'm considered a mostly purified fae.
Oh, interesting. You are giving me too many questions, I have to say.
Alright, so basically a long time ago.
And she's actually going to let you tell some story until Wilhelm does return with Shaxton and Carrick, which
She's getting insight into the continent of Loril and the goddess Lalasil, who is fucking dead.
I can't remember how heavy this is. Am I having to drag in to carry
no,
this thing?
it's like heavy. It's like it is a 2-arm carry, but with your strength, it's fine.
Underarm carry.
Carry care pad.
Yeah.
One of those things, Gifton's managed to carry it, but she moves like 5 feet around.
Yeah, it is. Any person really could conceivably move it, but it's an effort.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yes. Eventually, the door opens and Wilhelm actually pokes his head in and goes, "Oh, here they are." Right. Okay. If you don't mind leaving your radio with me for a moment, I will start our delegations.
Okay. Gifton has a worried look for a second, says good luck, and walks out.
Why is she leaving?
We should. Did we set it before we got there to the right channel, or?
I don't know if we said it's the right channel.
I will assume that you guys are bright enough to do so.
Shax has enough
yes.
forethought to check it, change it to the stand stand.
Which basically
they're like 2 spots on the knob anyway.
Which basically, Wilhelm will have you basically set it on the council chamber's like a big desk, before he sort of like helps, gets you to help him set it up, and then he's actually just going to begin really boring diplomacy.
I will say as a small aside, just because it might draw questions from the NPCs. Since Shax had gotten the wood arm and leg, the armor has been modified, so more of that arm is visible. It's not just encased fully.
It might have gotten some vaguely curious looks from Fowler when you sort of first came in, and once you return. But like most of the people here don't pass it more than like a glance.
Just saying as a general in case.
But yes, Wilhelm will sort of wave you off as if like, yes, I'm actually aware that this is going to be a boring thing that's going to take a while. And so you're able to join Luther and Fowler.
Okay.
In her
I
chambers.
thought we were leaving the room from Wilhelm talking.
No. But Wilhelm was basically dropping off the other 2, like returning your party members. And Luther goes, right, so, I take it you are quite well versed in combat. You're powerful creatures, dragons, and dead.
Yes.
Strange, angelic beings.
Did you say undead?
For the term
he said the dead, which was addressed towards Cassie, not in a derivative way, just a derisive way, I should say. Just in.
I wasn't sure if that was at Cass or at Telday, so.
No, Telday goes, and what are you? One of the, what do they call them? Warforged?
Yes.
Oh, you're far older than their line suggests, as does your interactions with Melinda.
That is different.
I'll not be to pry into people's personal history, but I
can answer this in one word, and even better explanation in 2.
If you say shenanigans, I'm gonna look scary at you.
Adventure shenanigans.
Scary look.
Is that like you look scary or you're scared
She's giving me the glare.
Okay.
Might it be possible to meet with a council member separately?
Of course. Which one of us would you like to speak to, if Aldo asks?
Melinda.
Yes.
Oh, you
she's actually like sitting there as if like pondering just how risky this is, and she goes, Melinda's temper has improved, but I'm not going to start anything, I hope.
I wish only to meet with her in peace.
If violence occurs to tell Dayon result of what he says to Melinda, I, as a representative of Barast, would not take any. Personally, as a friend, I would be upset for him, though.
I'm frankly more worried about the building than either of them. She sort of opens up one of her drawers, and she just seems to scribble on a pad before looking at it, and you hear some scratching noises even when she stops. It's like, okay, yes, she actually wants to see you. In that case, here, and she will fold up the piece of paper and just hold it out towards you, Tildy.
Thank you.
The ink arrow will point the way.
Intriguing.
Minor sorcery showmanship, she says.
I am not familiar. It is appreciated.
And she sort of nods and snaps her fingers in another showy thing, and her door opens on its own. Which, that finger snap is a real clicky one, I'll tell you that.
Oh no, I have to reattach it.
And you are able to follow this little piece of paper if you so wish.
I will.
Okay. Right, yeah, we'll handle this. So you go off wandering through the council chambers, and essentially it takes you to one of the large sets of doors, which will open obediently for you. Moving through the halls, it does take you to what is essentially a draconic office, just scaled for a dragon. And immediately upon entering it, it's easy to see the Saharan influence is still even here. Like, there are banners that sort of ascribe to ancient styles that you still went out of fashion so long ago in Sahara. It's almost nostalgic for you.
Is one of them his?
What's that?
Is one of them his?
Oh, what, banners?
Yeah. Like she got one of his banners at some point and just kept it.
Maybe. But as you enter, the sarcophagus actually ambles past you. As if, like, you know, Otto was in here with her as well. But as the door closes behind Otto and leaves you alone in the room with this large Dracolich, she just lowers her head slightly to sort of look at you more level. You wish to see me?
I wish to apologize.
You have very little to apologize for.
That is possible.
You were a thorn in my
feel
side,
it
but a just one.
There were times it did not feel that way.
I will admit, I had some small annoyances that you were disrupting the smooth running of my empire. I considered my rule just, if harsh. But times change, and I did not. This is where people like you step in.
Much of your story has been lost to others. The destruction of your former nation by other forces.
If only I could describe it as simply other forces. Those simply took advantage of the plight my own ineptitude cost me. Everything, and I cannot be bitter at others when I have myself to blame. A paranoia and madness, it took hold, and
And things have improved.
when I was first raised, I was angry about things, but I was guided to a better way, eventually, slowly. And as much as I look back fondly on many of the glory days, yes, things are better now.
You are in charge of defense for this place.
I am.
Do you think a defensive war would benefit?
I think a defensive war is doomed to fail. We have many advantages. We cannot be sieged effectively. We cannot be starved out. But we still need resources.
Based on what you know of these attackers, how would you defeat them?
I heard the words spoken. Killing a god. If that was feasible, that is where I would strike the head. I experienced that kind of defeat myself. There's a Morgani chuckle that comes from the Dracolich. But I consider that to still be an improbable move. To defeat the foe assailing us, we do not have the resources to raise and save every single one of them. I think death is a mercy, but I cannot say that I'm entirely correct. That is why we are a council. Keep each other in check. But if I had my way, I would raise every force of theirs to the ground in fire and brimstone. I would strike at them before they had a chance to strike at us.
The size of the force that we encountered on the way here, it suggests that either they are getting more organized or have something guiding them beyond just madness.
That has been a concern of mine. Most of the attacks here have been dragonflights just meandering their way around, small roving bands that seem to stumble across us, but there have been no small number of organized attempts, and they seem to be increasing. If you have encountered a large organized force, then it lends credence to the idea that perhaps the madness is finding a purpose.
How long do you think you could hold out?
What was the size of the force you encountered?
I will try to describe what I saw as best as I can.
Okay. Yeah, you do so. And there's a moment of silence before she goes, I think the city could hold out a year, maybe more. But it would not be comfortable. There would be continuous losses. Our defenses are strong, very strong, but if their supply lines were not disrupted and they were able to stay and keep attacking, we would fall eventually.
I do not believe that we will need to wait 1 year. I am fairly sure that things will come to a head much quicker than that.
Should ponder that I have answered your question about us, Faramir, not about those outside. The refugees would be the first to die. If we took them in, they would not last long.
You would leave them outside the walls.
I would invite them in, but it would make little difference in the end. We are not equipped to feed mortals. our magical abilities would be focused on defense. Supplying that number of refugees would take away from our own. It is not sustainable.
Your companion.
Yes. Otto?
You would know how long that would sustain.
I'm sure he could give you a very accurate number.
I fear the attack is coming for you soon.
As do I.
I am not entirely sure that we have not accidentally led them here.
If they arrive here in pursuit of you, then I doubt it will be much earlier than... I've suspected that they would be coming for us. We're perhaps the biggest threat to the stability. If we decided to move, it would be bad for them. But I don't think they will chance us staying as we plan to. You might be convinced that we're a defensive nation, but well, if that could ruin everything for you, would you trust someone to stay defensive? You have to adapt your plans to the idea that they won't be.
I wonder if it will be possible to stop their forces with an offensive.
What kind of offensive do you think we can mount? I'm curious what you assume of our abilities.
I am unaware. That is why I wish to meet with you.
We are an arcane power primarily. That is where our great strength lies. As well as, well, an army that does not need to eat, drink, stop, can be risen if not too damaged. It's not something that can be easily ignored. And I think we could strike quite the blow against them. But, well, Hexenreich is well versed at dealing with arcane matters. And as much as we try to keep tabs on what they're doing, I have fears of what measures they may have taken to assure a conflict against Thromir would go in their favor. Undead have no few easily exploitable weaknesses.
I see.
And consider that one of those weaknesses tends to be defined, and we are dealing with a god-furthered force. It gives me pause.
Then we shall have to endeavor to do our work quickly. To spare you, then.
If you figure out what you're doing, and you require aid from us in the endeavor, be it just on matters of building, supplying, or whether it is more strength of arms you need, I will push to make sure that it gets seen to. I believe the aggressive approach is the correct one, despite the risks it poses. In short, you have my vote if you decide to pursue such matters, seeing if you have a sound plan, of course.
A further hypothetical. Would you accept military aid in the form of troops?
Given certain provisions, agreements, assurances, of course. I was one of the ones that believed that we should remain closed off, but these are dire times. Of course, we must make sure that an assistant force does not become an occupying force when all is said and done.
I've seen enough of those. I have no wish to facilitate.
Out of character. This is the perfect battlefield for Hev Day.
Oh, man.
Hev Day would have so much fun.
Hev Day would be pissed if he knew you didn't bring him here.
So, tell me, you're one of these Baratheon constructs, a Warforged.
Affirmative.
I was always curious about your nature. You were in so many places that you shouldn't be, doing things that a man that needs to rest and sleep and eat should not be able to. How did you come to be there?
Time does not work as simply as one moment to the next.
Oh, if you are able to traverse time, I assume with the help of a Sphinx?
It is a reasonable assumption.
Never could find one of those.
Just gonna let that one go.
There's a moment of silence between the two of you before she just sort of looks over to some of the tapestries on the walls and goes, "It feels strange speaking to you of times long gone, but do you remember them well?"
No. That is a problem that I have. Things that happened so long ago. Some are not as clear.
Then perhaps when we are victorious, I can share some tales, and perhaps you can share what you remember. It can be very lonely. Otto's mind is a little scrambled. He has a good mind for coin, but little else these days.
That would be nice.
There's a sort of slight nodding of that large head before she turns to face you again and goes, "Well, I truly do have matters to attend to."
Of course. Thank you for meeting with me.
Thank you for gracing me with your presence finally.
Roll to attack. Wait, no.
It only took 5,000 years.
That unspoken thing of I would have tried to hang you. That wouldn't have worked.
Just hanging there for a couple days and then looking.
She's probably been sitting there having this surprising thing of, even if I'd gotten him, hanging him wouldn't have worked. Damn it!
But I will bow and leave.
She just watches you go silently, the doors closing behind you. Okay. Back in the chambers, basically, there is just some small back and forth discussion, especially when Wilhelm returns, just to check in a few things, because it seems Fowler's clearly first amongst peers here. First amongst equals. She checks in just to clarify a couple of things, and it sounds like the talks are going decently. But once he leaves again, Fowler looks at the rest of you and goes, "Alright. So, metal."
So you really don't want me casting any of my cool magic while I'm here?
It depends on the magic.
You don't like fey magic at all? Is that okay?
Under supervision, perhaps, and with forewarning of what you're doing.
Okay.
Of course, small conjurations, it's fine, but we do not want you opening planar tears, is what is the main concern here.
Okay, so no tree travel from here to Beacon. Got it.
You seem very well versed in traversal through non-mundane means. Why do you come on an airship?
Well, if there were refugees, what were we going to do? And also, have you noticed that oh, you didn't see it. Never mind. My airship has a tree on it, just in case. I can't go places I haven't seen before, and this entire place is a big blank spot.
That's with, yes, intent towards that matter. So, adventuring groups are always a very odd group.
When she says no tears, Jax will actually go, I may have you leave to contact one of our associates who's helping with the refugees briefly.
The gentleman type.
Yes.
Yes, we'll have mentioned him.
Jax will calmly put his hand to his ear and just go, Corvus, please not open any tears while you are here.
You get the usual thing of, but if I need to...
Zaya asked it specifically.
There is the begrudging acquiesce to that request, which may then get disobeyed later.
Which may in fact be rescinded by the player. Right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Question to the GM real quick.
Yes.
Did they ever bring us maps or anything?
Oh,
Yeah. Start marking.
Yeah, we mark things.
Melinda would actually have a map sent out to you. It is actually a very, very good map of Hexenreich. It's large, it's large enough to go over the desk that is in here, like trail sides.
Also, we were just coming back from going to Zaha, and that was like a big thing. So we were kind of in the neighborhood, I guess. So we just rode over on the airship.
So, how are the defenses of Zaha? I hear that there is a new god that, has returned.
No, it's the same old god.
Yes. So many scriptures refer to her as a demon.
That they're very wildly unkind.
Imagine that, the gods being unkind about something they do not understand well.
I understood it quite well. That's actually the worst part of it. Anyway.
This does not surprise me in the slightest.
Very much unlike some of the others, she does truly care for those there.
There was attempts to use a means similar to what was used to create the Warforge as a method of purification by some Hexenreichers over in Zaha, and they were testing on small children over in Zaha.
She scowls.
We went over, grabbed the fellow, and then handed him over to King Oberon for judgment. He's having a good time with that. I think he made him into a loot.
There's a faint scowl on her face, which is essentially just a sort of shift in the glow of her eyes. Which actually, I would like insight checks from everybody, and this is basically to learn to pick up on the body language around here.
Where's my insight? There's my insight.
My insight's actually pretty good, so we'll see.
That's better than I figured. I'd roll with 7.
And Telde, I'd like you to roll this as well, because this is basically just a combination of all the interactions here.
AFK, but he ran off to use the bathroom.
Okay, well, let me get straight in. Okay, most of you you feel like you're starting to get a feel for like the interactions here. They do have some like adjusted movements. They seem to put a bit more into hand gestures, inclinations of the head, the upper body, less reliance on facial expression, of course.
God, they're Italian.
Yeah, they're Italian. Cassie, this is baffling.
Yeah, it is.
It's hard getting a read on people.
Moving their hands.
The purpose Barath sent us there was one of the scientists involved originally in the Warforged creation, absconded after anyway, things, and that's where they went, and they joined up with those Hexenreichers doing terrible things.
A lot of unsavory experimentation is coming to light in recent days. We are seeing things deployed that have no right to exist. And I say this as a scholar who is very happy to test boundaries.
We were able to reverse the process on the 2 of the children that were, or 3 of the children that had that done to them.
The others were too far gone. The bodies were gone already.
Yeah, their souls are merely to rest, thankfully, but there was little to be done for them, other than hopefully that they get reformed somewhere. If they lose faith.
I hope that they go into Illin's graces and reincarnate rather than go And she sort of gestures upwards.
I can only hope, but we were over there and we had some other matters to deal with as a result of premonitions and Gifton makes big airy wavings that we were chasing after.
Portents and
You know this old god well.
Oh, she's the sweetest.
yes.
Do you have much communication with any of the others?
Yes. Maybe.
I will be blunt.
Looking over at Jackson, am I saying too much?
If you may be blunt, of course.
Imor. Please know that your reaction does not affect our relationship any way. It's merely a question.
You have spoken to him.
Yes.
Yes, on like how many days ago? 10 days ago?
Someone's off market.
I don't know about that market.
Luther is immediately sort of, piking up in his chair.
Kept him from killing Corvus, so
looking
we're
curious.
doing okay, I guess.
Yes, quite happy about the death of that one. Luther, if you wouldn't mind leaving us alone for a moment. And Luther looks a little taken aback. Of course. I'll be outside in the chambers.
I'd be very willing to talk to you about it if you want, Luther, later.
I would enjoy that.
I am not good at keeping secrets.
And Luther will give you a thankful little, incline before going out to join Wilhelm.
At this point, many secrets need to not be kept. There are some that must be, but at this point, it's what needs to be given.
Diplomacy is working well. It's the time for secrets to be laid down.
I must ask you all a question.
Yes.
Are any of you opposed to a geese of secrecy?
I just told him that I would tell him.
Not about your own offense, but about things that I might reveal.
I'm out of
If understandable within limits, yes. Obviously, you're saying it's about what you're about to say, so I believe that would be fine.
It is.
I'd be fine with that if you'd be willing to do one as well for anything I might reveal.
It's certainly a hard thing to agree to, isn't it, when you don't know what it is that's going to be revealed?
Well, isn't that an equally justifiable problem that we're both having?
She looks down a moment, going like, "This is fair but aggravating."
Actual income. I think the childhood term is we will show you ours. We will show you ours. We will show us yours.
I think that's fair, perhaps.
That's a term?
In fact, why don't we... I know. Would you agree to a geese of secrecy on caveats that you may instead choose to forego such and forget what is said?
That sounds fair.
Very fair.
Right, in that case, she's going to...
Cass is shaking her head. No, not messing with my mind. I am going to step outside.
Bye, Cassie.
An understandable reaction.
And Cass is going to walk out. Hello!
Luther will wave you over, and you can hear Wilhelm schmoozing his way on the radio. Which, that's not Stenhouse's voice coming from the other side now, by the way, although you might hear faint snippets of him in the background.
What are they saying?
Yeah.
What do you mean?
We need to get him in touch with the Noran.
Yeah. Wilhelm is actually talking to an actual diplomat.
We need to get him in touch with the Noran ambassador to Brass, just because I want to see what happens when the two of them start talking.
She's going to start pulling a large orb out of a cabinet in here, but she just sits down on the table. And about this time, Telde, you're walking through the main chambers. You see Wilhelm and Luther and Cassie out there. The diplomacy radio chatter.
Diplomacy.
Which you can either hang with them or you can come back into the room.
I'm going to walk up to Cassie in the kind of two people standing off to the side way kind of go.
They do on
Where are the others?
Oh, yeah, insight.
Super secret
check.
meeting set.
Oh yeah.
Information being passed.
I see.
I chose not to be part of it. Nope.
Is there a problem?
Magic.
If there's any consolation, I have no idea what's going on in there either. Luther says, looking a little perturbed.
Has Corvus rubbed off on you?
No. Types of magic. Not interested.
I see.
Just expecting Tell to come in. I'm here. There's illegal magic.
Sweet.
Oh yes, by the way, Telde, can you give me an insight check? This is basically to see how well you've absorbed the general body language and so on, how they communicate around here. Lacking facial expressions and so on.
I roll a 35.
Okay.
Yeah, you have... and actually, this kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
Based on your own people, the adjustment to basically suggesting emotion and expression through non-facial means doesn't come too alien to you.
Aha, acting.
Yeah.
It's like miming.
Yeah, and you've quickly picked up on the mannerisms here. Alright. Okay. Are you choosing to stay out there with Cass, or are you going back into the office?
Will you be friends with Cassie, or will you join them?
I will stay out here.
Okay. Alright, in that case...
What a kind soul you are.
Inside, Fowler will basically put her hands on the orb, just idly, like there's no casting going on right now. Go. Right, before the need for secrecy, essentially I would like to invite you to speak with our founder.
Are they an orb?
She looks down at the orb, looks at you. There's a moment of like she's trying to figure out if you're joking. No.
Oh, like it's dead serious.
No.
I feel like she's being serious.
No, she's not an orb. This is the means of geese.
Oh, your magic works really different from mine, so I have to ask these questions.
Yes, I imagine it would. Do you primarily perform your magic through Fey or Divine? No, later. We can do that later.
I actually don't know what the difference is. It's just I sing whatever I sing and it happens.
Then I must have some demonstrations later.
Yeah, I'd love to go over it with you. I've actually talked to usually everyone I talk to a mage, they get bored and they move on to something else because something more shiny and exciting is happening. But yeah, we can talk about it sometime.
But yes, I would like to invite you to speak to our founder on some personal matters.
Sounds understandable and reasonable.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so do we touch the orb first, or?
Yes. Please place your hands on the orb.
Touch the orb.
Okay. Place his hand on the orb.
Okay. All of us here, upon affirming with a yes, shall agree to keep matters among those that are currently discussing them right here, right now, and extending to the party of the founder of Faramir who will be revealed to you. Anything that she asks to remain a secret shall be kept in secret or may be forgotten, to not be spoken of. Are we agreed?
Very well.
Yes.
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 Yes. Okay, there is a faint glow of the orb, and she takes her hands off it. There are no marks on you. There is nothing to indicate.
Gibson tilts her heads for a moment and then says, I swear to keep the secrets of the founder of Faramir. I swear to keep the secrets of the founder of Faramir. I swear to keep the secrets of the founder of Faramir.
Thank you for your thrice stated promise.
Check will actually pull the hand back because it's a wooden one and look at it for a second and go, that was a very advanced geese. I'm impressed.
It turns out most of the geese that leave markings from demons or she gestures at gift and fey kind, completely unnecessary. They are added for show, mostly.
It is showmanship, that's understandable.
Will you try to keep my secret? If I instruct you?
May I make a caveat?
Yes.
Unless it endangers Faramir, I shall keep your secret. I shall keep your secret. I shall keep your secret.
Hey. Sometimes.
Oh no, she just prayed.
She is.
I did.
All of a sudden, hand shows up. Yes.
That would be like the worst timing ever for what for her to show up.
She is going to head towards the door, sort of beckoning you to follow her, heading out into the council chambers, and she just looks towards the trio in the center and goes, actually quad, there's four of them. She just goes, Luther, would you mind sorting out guest rooms for them, please? Luther just looks in the court of guard and goes, sure. And what is this about, Founder? And she's just, I'm taking them to see the Founder. And he just sort of gives that arm gesture.
Shrug over at Luther. I have no idea what's going on yet either.
Well, have fun. If the both of you would follow me, he says, looking at you, Telday and Cassie.
Okay.
Hey, Luther, your god gives really nice hugs.
So apparently I'm Annalisa now. Come along. And he's going to head off with you both.
Apologies. I will update my reminders of your name.
Try humor.
Don't let him do that.
Very good.
He will start calling you it.
The rest of you are led towards the back of this hall and into what is just another little door, very nondescript, which actually has another upwards heading staircase leading back towards the surface.
Upstairs.
And Founder will look back at you as you mutter and go, yes, a little inconvenient. A lot of our modern buildings use, either gargoyle or self-driven stone plinths to lift and fall, but this is an old structure.
These ramps are more civilized than stairs.
I'm not sure Otto would approve of that. He has some purchase problems with his sarcophagus sometimes.
I guess he'd go down really fast either way.
There's a really impolite chuckle, like she does find that mental image far more amusing than she should. What's that, Shexton?
Actually, if I think she has a problem with stage because she's usually on a much smaller scale.
Rude.
Oh, are you some form of sprite?
Brownie.
Oh, Trudy.
I
don't get much of your kind over here.
Yeah, we're a rare commodity.
Yes, most. Forgive me, I should not speak of captured Fae. And she actually does move her hand. She's genuinely apologetic about she was about to go on a discourse, so she realizes it's impolite.
I actually kind of worry about the fact that I know some of our people get taken over here for.
Not us, I assure you. And well.
No, I mean, I gesture kind of vaguely Hexenreichen direction, out that way.
In general.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I suppose one of the things is that's likely not to be happening anymore, and she says that as if that's not a happy occasion really for some of the people here.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's unfortunate though, because I can't imagine what it was like for them when everything went wrong. It wasn't already a good position to be in, but it couldn't have gotten better.
Yes. Oh, we'll count our blessings that maybe some escaped. We can hope.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Hopefully.
And you are led up into a what looks like to be it's like a little building within a building. There is essentially calling it caverns wrong because it is properly carved out and such, but it's wide, undecorated, and open top to the sky. You can see a ring of gargoyles up arched around this opening at the top that is just letting now nighttime sort of light spill in. The moon is nice and bright in the sky. The surrounding walls are unlit, but there are some torches on this little central building. It's just a small, round, dome-roofed, which seems to have its own smaller hole at the top of it that you can't really see into, or, you know. But she moves up to this little wooden door, just knocks on it politely, and you hear a voice just say, "Enter." And she opens the door and gestures for you all to move in.
Carrick will walk in.
I'll follow in.
Inside of here is a rather nice garden. There are sort of stone columns supporting the inside of this building that have like various vines growing up around them that have different blossoms on them. Some of them quite vibrant, others looking very weed-like. Some are thorny. It's a garden in the sense that a lot of plants are growing in here, but it's almost wild, untamed sense. It's like they're encouraged but not really directed. But in the middle of them, there's a small stone path heading from the door into a little rounded centre, which is clear. Just sitting at a table reading a book that they are now placing down. Appears to just be a young woman, maybe in her very early 20s. She's got dark black hair that is just pulled back in a very loose ponytail. She's wearing very simple sort of cotton dress. It's a sort of light blue. It's actually a little worn in spots, as if, you know, this is being patched up a few times. You can actually see some sewn spots on the elbows. She's rather delicately featured, very, very pale skinned. Makes Harcount look a little tanned. But has a rather striking but soft red lipstick on, a little bit of eyeshadow. And this just pair of simple brownish eyes, little specks of hazel in them, and she sort of looks curiously as you all come in, and Valda just sort of inclines her head to her respectfully before gesturing at the group of you and goes, "Lysil, this is. Does your group have a name?"
Circle turns towards Gifton.
Tarnstead Trading Company.
Really? I thought that was a joke.
It's a name from when we first.
To be fair, after our town burned, when we signed up, we were. I'm a tailor. He's a jeweler. Cassie's a carpenter. Valdir Forgehammer was a smith, and
as am I.
We were making things. We didn't think it was gonna be a deal.
Fair. In that case, Lysil, these are the Tarnstead Trading Company. This is Gifton. That is Carrick, Shaxon. Their missing party are elsewhere, I'm afraid. They have agreed to come speak on you with private matters, which I will now reinforce that we are under matters of secrecy here. They've agreed to a geese. They know your father, Lysil. So please. She actually just sort of gestures her hands and then steps out the door, sort of with a little respectful nod, and closes it.
Kirkad tilts his head at, "They know your father?"
It's a secret tryst.
I'm guessing more unknown descendant.
She actually looks at the lot of you curiously and goes, "You know my father?"
I'm gonna hit this button. If I'm rolling an insight to gather who this is, am I at disadvantage?
Oh yeah.
Okay, so I roll normal.
Lysil. Oh, is your mom
29?
my lady?
Carrick, I cannot give you anything with that. That is under your own assumption.
Ooh.
Your lady?
Well, she did say we know her father.
She did, and it was right after we talked about how we talked to Immor like 10 days ago, right?
Yes, my father-in-law.
Okay. Is not who I believed. So.
Does your mom Lalathil?
I don't know who Lalasil is. My mother was more. She purses her lips briefly before going. You were spawned to secrecy. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, we were.
I hope you understand that.
It's yes. Others
It's
cannot know.
something you don't want your mother to be in danger, so you don't want to say her name. That's fine. We don't need to know your mom's name.
Okay, because
It wasn't Lalasil, but
no,
they named you Lysel. This has got a weird look on her face.
Lysel. Yes.
Was your mother immortal?
Yes, she was.
That is why we're one of the reasons we were sworn to secrecy.
How is my father?
He's sweet, a bit sad sometimes. He gives good hugs though. So he tells you he
Sorry to
can't
laugh
give
at
hugs
that.
because he says it will make you sad. But it doesn't make you sad. It doesn't do anything at all. It's just a hug.
There's a sort of faintly sad smile on her face, which does look so much like that expression that you've seen on his.
He's just gonna start moving forward and like gonna try to give a hug. You got his face right now.
She's coming at her. Get her.
She sort of raises her hand, and it just sort of meets one of yours as if like intersecting, and there is a little bit of firmness, and then your hand drifts through hers.
Oh.
I was gonna say. I am guessing because of who your father
I need to
is.
get better at hugs. I will work on this.
I'm sorry. Tangibility takes focus.
I am guessing that's partially because of who your father is. I'm also guessing that is why you founded this country.
Yes. She's actually going to stand up, letting her book just close. And there is actually a moment where the book closes where she actually glances at it as if that look of my page. Oh well. And she goes, I am Lysil, and I am the daughter of Imor, and I am... She looks very awkward when she says this. Balder calls me the demigod of undeath.
Well, it is wonderful to meet.
Yeah, it's very wonderful to meet you.
And just give a polite bow.
See.
It's nice to hear about my father, but I'm not entirely sure why she's brought you down here.
I'm not sure either. It was kind of abrupt. She seemed to think it was something we should do. Why did she leave?
The times I've talked to her about my father, I have gotten upset sometimes, and she's a nice person, but she doesn't deal well with other people's emotions.
When was the last time you got to see your papa?
Before I died. Which was many thousands of years ago now.
I'm just warning the rest of the party. Gibson's getting dangerous looks in her eyes.
No.
Jackson can go Gifton, do not.
Me.
My
guess is...
sorry, please.
I was going to ask if you had any questions that we might be able to answer about him.
Yes, I do.
Ask away.
You say he's doing well, but he's sad?
Yeah, he's sad because Morgani's sick.
Very solemn in his work.
Yes.
And it's dredging up old stuff like Lalasil was a goddess from a long time ago, and the other gods killed her and that makes him sad.
I can imagine.
The gods are talking about they might have to put Morgani down because she's attacking their heavens.
She frowns a little bit and says, "What would that mean for those in her heaven?"
Are you familiar with the concept of the Fae?
Yes, Father talks of them very frequently.
See, Lalasil and Ellen were greatly in love, and when Lalasil was cut down, her heaven and her body fell to the mortal realm, the land of Barast.
A god's death makes the heaven fall.
Yes, and Ilan, in his pain, tried his best to save the heaven, and its angels and its souls became the Fae.
But you cannot let them do that. You must tell my father not to.
Yeah, we are doing everything we can to try and stop that order, because that's why we're here. We brought we're hoping to work with your people to try and anchor Morgani's heaven and the other heavens in case anything happens.
Yes, you must. My mother is
Morgani
there.
is attacking and hurting the other gods, and their own people could be at risk. That's the only reason they're fearful of having this happen, because their own heavens could fall too, you know.
And it is my intent to cure her of whatever this is.
We want to save Morgani because
her.
Excuse me, but why do a trading company know my father and think
we
they're
have,
very strange people.
we have done.
We released the goddess Hea, who was bound in the bones of Lalasil on the continent of Barast. She is the daughter of Hevos and Mayiri. She is the rightful goddess of the lands of Zaha. Anyway, she's very protective of us, and we are considered very strong for mortal beings, and the gods don't like us as certain groups of them, but
she's gonna hold up her hand as if like to halt you, and then she's like marching straight towards the door, which she opens with a little bit of anger, and the father who's standing out there, she just looks at it and goes, "Father, what is this about?" And Father looks a little taken aback. She goes, "I thought you would like to talk to them about your father. Father, what is this about?" And Folder sort of looks at her, looks past her to the group of you. "Your words hold a lot of weight, and I thought if you heard their situation and about your father, then you would lend more unanimous support to an endeavor to maybe build a giant phylactery," she says, looking at the rest of you. And Lysia was just sort of raising her hand in her, like, "What the hell does that? What are you even talking about?" "A giant phylactery? For what?"
Yeah, for Morgani.
It is. We have to take part of the essence of the mental and infuse it into Morgani using a phylactery so that we can.
The first dragons are coming to kill us all. Well, some of them are.
"Father, I don't run this city. You run this city. The council runs the city. It's your decision. I don't know anything about any of this. You know more than you ever want to admit to yourself. Your words carry weight, so you know a couple of them are going to be reluctant. If we are all united on this, we can avert what's coming. Ask Melinda. She has doubts about our survival."
Can I?
Yes?
Unrelated to the whole crazy crap that you're clearly being manipulated into, can...
Sorry.
Alda, my secret, you protect. I'm currently pregnant with 2 gods, and I just wanted to know, so, like, was it normal childhood for you?
Fowler is just like, oh, jeez.
Yes, that
I'm
is.
option here to ask
No,
somebody what it's like.
That is one of the things that
And-
very few outside of our.
Also, I'm pregnant and I consider myself a delicate person and I should not be put into too many dangerous situations.
Lysel's giving you the look of somebody that's trying not to be unkind to a stranger, but you are also a stranger that is bringing chaos into their life.
Yeah.
And just my childhood was quite normal. Yes.
Okay, good. That's a relief. Thank you. Okay, I'm good. Sorry.
You should
I'm very sorry for this.
tell them about your childhood and the offence hereafter. And Fowler says, and Lysel's actually just gonna
Nope,
like push her
you
back from the
run away,
doorway
Velma.
and close it. I'm like, she is unbelievable.
I feel like we were manipulated into something.
It's not the first time. All I ask is to be left alone with my books, and she's gonna sit down at her table, looking at all of you.
Would you
Actually,
like us to leave?
No, this isn't your fault, and I do care about my father, and if
Do
you...
you want me to try and get him to come visit you?
I always assumed that he didn't come to visit me for very good reasons.
Do you want me to see if I can sneak a message back and forth? Because they don't check up on me.
She looks at you and just slowly nods.
Okay.
I also get the feeling a great many of the gods are starting to question or some of them at least are starting to question their very good reasons, and Shax does put the finger quotes around that for things that they have decided not to do.
You could tell him that I miss him and I still love him, and that it wasn't his fault.
I'm not. You don't need to go into it with me, but, you know, if you have anything, even if you want to write a letter, I could probably hand it to him. I won't read it.
I don't think I could put everything into words on a piece of paper.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so...
you mentioned you like being here with your books. I'm guessing you get brought variety of new ones every so often.
She nods. Yes, I make sure that I have something to read every day.
What are you reading?
There's a vaguely embarrassed look, and sort of her hands move to cover like the spine of the book.
Kristen's gonna reach into her bag and show her tawdry novel. I'm reading too.
She looks down, and this might not be super tawdry, but she is reading a romance novel.
Oh, this one considers it a tawdry novel. I don't know. It's something I got from Lady Channel.
Well, it is good that they bring books for you to read every day. And could I ask you a question and feel?
That is why you're here, I suppose. So please.
When did you found Firmir? I've never heard when the country actually.
I hope you understand. I don't have the best sense of time. But
Understandable.
It was roughly, and she looks like she is generally trying to think. 5,000-6,000 years, somewhere between there.
Mm.
And I'm
No,
guessing it
that's
was...
not right. Yeah, no, 5. Yeah, 5.
Oh, I'll ask.
But you've got to know that founding, and she's air quoting when she says this, the country, it was like a little tomb that I talked to some people in.
I'm guessing offering protection and help.
Yeah, I mean, Firmir, I don't know when it became a country, you know? It wasn't for a long time after that.
Well, everything
Honestly, I would-
begins someplace.
Yeah, so it has, I guess, as how many of the countries start.
But
I
this place, this spot, she just shrugs a little bit. I wanted it to last forever, so I started to have them help me build.
Sounds like another country we have been to recently. Saha started in a similar way. I've tried to learn where I can, and there's unfortunately not a lot about here back in Brass that I have found.
So you're
So-
from Barast?
Yes, well,
Real.
two of us are. Yes, Lavril is the original name.
No, real.
That was Lalasil's continent, but Chexen here is currently formerly of Hexenreich. I don't know how to describe it now, honestly, with what's happened.
Hexenreich's not gone as long as its people are still...
Yes, that's why I'm not sure how to...
Oh wait, if I'm under a geese, am I gonna be able to tell the message for her dad? When we were at Velda.
Found us outside. Pushed out.
Oh, she got pushed out?
Yeah.
Oh, fuck. I thought she got pushed out.
She said that any of the things that she wishes to keep secret. So
Okay, I think I need to be explicitly told I can talk to your dad.
If Fountain needs to, she can, but I give you permission.
Okay, thank you.
really quick, though, could we get the founder's name written down just so I don't
Yes,
spell it?
indeed.
It just sounds very Lalacillan, so I was like, it's
Yeah,
Lysol, right?
that is deliberate, yes.
Ah, okay.
Not have it anywhere close.
Neither. I had a LY.
Yep.
LYSIL is what I had.
Okay. She sort of like lifts her arms up a bit as if like, okay, we're making conversation. So,
Okay, we've normalized this a bit, yeah.
so your names?
I'm... Oh, good.
I'm Carrick Marsk.
I am Trexon Rotskalo.
Gifton realized this there's no
Yeah.
here. Gifton Grace.
No, it is
Gifton
someone
brought
else.
Grace Dingus. Oh,
Well,
this is Lord
actually,
Dingus of the.
technically
This is Lord Dingus of the bridge, and he didn't swear a geese.
Dingus beams.
This would be his son Merrick, who knows better than to say anything. Given
I'm Gifton Rock and Grayscale.
Merrick does the thing where like his head, like his whole neck bends backwards so he can look at you upside down.
Yep, I
yeah.
am used to that.
I'm like always was said. It's nice to meet you, I suppose.
It is nice to meet you also.
Good to meet you. Sorry for undue stress.
Yes.
Yeah, apparent manipulations.
It's not your fault. I'm not too used to talking to strangers anymore.
Well, that's a shame.
You're very alive.
Yes, we come to for many reasons, to be honest.
I hope that's not too shocking.
No, just unusual around here. But I like living things. And she says that as she sort of stands up and heads towards like one of the flower beds here.
I was gonna say you have quite the collection of plants growing.
Gifton's gonna go over and kind of wave a hand around and help some blossoms go.
She actually perks up when you do that, and I wish I could do that.
Oh, I wish you could do it too.
I can. She's actually going to she's going to pluck one of the flowers rather gently, and she sort of passes her hand through it. And then she holds it out to you and just goes, "This will never wilt. It will flourish all the same."
Wow.
Ow, it's wonderful.
But it won't bud or make any more.
Can I try using my magic on it and see if it continues?
You can.
I'll try.
Okay. You try to make it grow, and it does not.
You're very powerful magic.
She just shakes her head and hands it off to you, and
Yes, then I'll put it on her, kind of pin it on next to her brooch, the Lolasil brooch. She'll tuck it into that.
I can give motion. It's wrong to call it life, but I can let things continue when they could not.
Mm-hmm.
Are you the one that assists when I don't know how to best describe it. When it's time to turn into undead? Player doesn't know how to describe
she smiles a little bit at your clumsiness in trying to get it across. No, not. I haven't been for a long time. They've kind of got it figured out, you know.
But I'm guessing at the beginning.
At the beginning, sometimes, yeah.
Everybody, it seems a wonderful place. You're taken on a tour by Wilhelm when we arrived through it. It is cut a...
She frowns when you say that.
Why the sad face?
Oh, no. And she actually brings her hands up to her face. It's like, I didn't mean to make that expression. And she's just... I don't dislike him or anything. He talks a lot.
That he does.
He's amazing. He can pull thoughts right out of my brain.
I don't think any of us...
He looks a little confused.
I don't think all of us remember what he said.
Yeah, he says a lot of nothing, I find.
It does kind of go with what is... Yes.
So Valda seems to think that she is trying to use us to manipulate you into supporting our ideals in order to push them through the council. Is that what I got out of that?
Yeah, I guess so.
It sounded like it. I'm guessing that means that some may be...
So probably means like it or not, they're going to probably end up all coming to you at different points to try and get their idea of what you think of what we're trying to do and size that up. So regardless of what Valda's trying to do, it's going to happen regardless because the council apparently all relies on you for your better judgment.
I'm going to think back to the way down here.
Uh-huh.
Can the dragons fit down here?
The dragons would definitely not be able to get through the corridors into here, no.
Okay.
She looks distinctly unamused at this prospect. And she goes,
So, should we just give you as much honest information as we can and then not pressure you about it?
You're with my father trying to save things?
Yes, our intention is
to be honest, we were called to bear by the gods. We were plucked from where we were, dropped in front of the gods, and for one told that we're terrible sinners that don't a lot of terrible things. Anyway, but despite that, they needed us as unaligned members of everything because the gods themselves have a pact where they cannot harm one another directly. They have to have a third party do it. They were trying to imply that they were going to have a vote about the killing of Morgani for the protection of the whole. And at that vote, they realized they had to get us on board because they said some not so nice things to us. But they basically have implied that there is a vote that would happen for or against killing Morgani. We made our case that we didn't think Morgani should die because the heavens dropping, everything bad. We're very concerned. I can tell you that your father was one of the votes for killing Morgani. But he has been supporting us in our measures to protect the heaven and...
She actually looks angry there. And she's not subtle in showing it either. Like, you can see her hands gripping, clear scar on her face.
On the for killing Morgani, you're out. It was Imorgos.
How could he decide to kill Morgani when my mother is up there if that entire thing's going to come down?
They had a theory that they were going to have Hea
grab the heaven. Because Hea doesn't actually hold her heaven, they were going to have Hea try to take over protecting that heaven. They were assuring us they had ideas in mind as a group.
Okay. And she's putting her hands up, and then they come down on the table in a bit of a slap, where she pushes herself up, and she's walking towards the door.
A limited time frame where the gods are letting us try to find a way to stop Morgani without killing her.
Well, let's get that sorted then. And she's going to open up the door, and she is actually just grabbing Fowler's sleeve. And with that expectation for you all to follow, is sort of dragging her along, walking back towards the council chambers.
Mm-hmm.
As they're walking, checks will also bring up, the gods have also mentioned that if Morgani goes, then magic, as we have control of it now, goes, and they do not know if they'd want to get back.
Oh, great. So that would kill so many here. Right. Fantastic. And she is doing this huffy march with Fowler in tow back to the council chambers, where she sort of slams open the door, which makes Wilhelm start. Luther just looks over casually. Telde and Cassie, you see your party along with Fowler being dragged by this sort of rather petite young woman who's immensely pale.
I thought we had been drug away to be shown quarters.
Oh, that's right. You were. Yeah. So you just see Wilhelm, who
is he still talking at the radio?
Yeah, diplomacy takes time.
It's fine. I'm just curious, because eventually Brass has to go to sleep. I know he doesn't.
No. Someone has to go to sleep.
They have shifts.
Or the poor man who's told to get this done.
Diplomats work long hours.
Who doesn't get to sleep?
I'm gonna walk over to the radio, tap Wilhelm really quick, take up the little talkie bit and squeeze it and go, "Hi, this is General Graysteel. I just signed a bunch of things that looked important. I hope that's okay." I'm gonna hand it back to Wilhelm and walk away.
Wilhelm is then left with a screeching diplomat who is like yelling, "Don't sign anything."
I'm gonna give Wilhelm a thumbs up.
He's got that bemused look of somebody that's just been screwed over but appreciates what has happened. And Lysil is actually just coming straight up to the desk, picking up what looks like to be a small sort of rounded half stone, which he slots onto the desk, which causes some lights up, and you hear distant chiming.
Mm-hmm.
And within short order, at this point, Cassie and Telde, Luther's been just leading you down the street, giving you a far more, it's less touristy, I'm telling you where places are, but a more practical, like if you need things fixed up.
That's a bathhouse, so you need that.
Which
had been Annalisa who was taking.
Annalisa was in charge originally, but then Wilhelm but then Fowler was like, "Hey, Luther, go get these two sorted," when she was doing her secrecy thing.
Okay.
Because Annalisa
left in a bit of a huff.
Does not want to deal with us right now.
And Luther needs to be kept busy because he's in a huff right now because he's not allowed to come for secret god talks.
So he made a comment about how he's now become Annalisa There was a joke made about that.
Which he's in the middle of saying, hey, look, yeah, there is actually a bathhouse because many of these people like to keep themselves nice, pretty and clean. When he pauses, lets out a sigh and goes, I'm being summoned back.
Cass is just rubbing her star in her forehead and just going, 10 to 1 says it's something Gifton did.
Perhaps she signed many different forms and have angered the diplomats.
And whatever it is,
she would.
And he says, just turning on heel.
Turning on heel and getting back that way.
That's very hard for you to do, Cass.
Thank you for this wonderful tour so far, Annalisa.
I did warn him as we were walking away not to let him change it.
Basically, just having that moment of I understand why Melinda hates you.
That's long running joking you have there.
Joking?
And eventually the other council members are gathering in the chamber once more. Most of them looking vaguely perplexed. Luther leads Cassie and Telde back in. Lysil has been basically refusing to speak, and Valda has been mostly silent, only really talking if prompted by the rest of you. Look, she's got that sort of awkward look of may have overstepped. But eventually there is a gathering once more in the council chambers. People don't really take their seats; they're just sort of standing around, like looking curiously. The two Dracoliches, like they're looming over everybody. And Lysil just goes,
wave at the smaller one at some point.
Sigmund just bows his head slightly in acknowledgement. And Lysil just sort of looks at all of them and just goes, I don't care. I don't care. I don't run this. I don't run this. But they're apparently doing good things. Fowler thinks that you should all listen to them. So I'm gonna back Fowler. There you go. That's my advice. That's what I say. So, we good? There's an awkward moment of silence. A couple of nods. Before she just sort of looks at the group and you go, yeah, that's done.
I guess she really did want to not talk to us anymore. I'm sorry.
I don't mind talking to you, but I don't. This is all above me. I don't make these big decisions anymore.
You have your retirement and you would like to enjoy it, so that's understandable.
It's for the best of everybody. Okay. It was really nice to meet all of you, and I really genuinely appreciate you bringing news of my father to me. I wish he was happier.
Mm-hmm.
And she's actually going to look down for just shaking her head, and she turns and starts to walk back down the corridor she came from.
Thank you for meeting us.
Yes. And again, wonderful to meet you.
Fowler just sort of inhales between teeth, as a skeleton does.
Jax will turn back and go. So as we told her, all cards on the table. If Morgani dies, her heaven falls, and magic as we know it ceases to be in our world. And the gods have had talks that they do not really want to give it back.
And there is also a sort of distant yelling echo coming from that corridor of, and release them from that stupid, unnecessary geese.
I like her more and more every moment.
And Fowler's just well, today was a lesson in older does not mean wiser. So yes, you are released. But
it was the thought.
I think that went well, all things considered. So yes, I'd like a sample of that metal, and I like this Phylactery idea.
The best way would be to.
Would you mind coming back to Beacon with me and we can get you a look at it in person?
If that's not a problem, certainly.
I can circumvent the Baratheon circle. And that way we don't have to worry about their own choices on that.
She's looking over at Wilhelm, who just gives that sort of shrug of not a diplomatic thing to do, but if you're gonna go, take Luther with you. And Luther looks over and shrugs and goes, "Matter of safety. I hope you understand."
Of course. Actually, I look at it and go, Dingle, do you want to handle it?
Me?
Yeah, the kitchen?
Dingus bobs his head.
We can open a cable gateway between here and Barras so you can know that you can come in after us if you need to.
Me.
You tell us where you want it.
What kind of gateway is this?
It's through the food room.
I was more asking portal size.
Doorway.
It is a doorway, Fey in nature.
She looks like she wants to continue asking about the food room, but she just sort of gestures for a wall. Is it a temporary measure?
It would last at the most a day.
A day.
And I believe it could be dispelled magically.
If the dispellation can happen, then we can do it here.
Okay. I'll hold Dingus out. Do it.
Jack's also going to gift him to have your leave while you're gone to inform him and put all of our cards on the table, as they say.
Sure.
Yep.
I thought that's what I was kind of leading the way doing anyway, because honestly, end of the world, I don't think we've got time to play games.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Exactly. Like, I was just trying to skip over more games, and she gestures at like the rest of the council members.
Well, you are over there.
Well, anybody's doors open. You're welcome to come through. Mind your feet, though. My children do latch on. The door. Food room awaits.
Okay.
And
all right.
So, yep. Well, since I'm assuming you're going to cover them, while they're gone, Shax will, I'm assuming with Garrick's help, lay everything out on the table. He's not skipping a damn thing. He's
okay,
going
cool.
back in time, everything.
All right, that's gonna take some time. Cool. All right.
I'm going to if Shax starts to go, I am going to.
Are you even going into Corvus though? That is an undiscovered country that I don't know if we need to do.
Don't know if it's
considering Corvus is not there to object. Would Shaxton be a little more delicate on that matter just to make sure?
Yeah, Corvus and Echo are the ones I worry about actually bringing up.
Yeah,
be a little more delicate on the two of them. He would probably at least mention the Dreamer and explain some of it.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
The only thing I'm gonna, if it starts to go that way, is stop our the terminated time period, because I think we still are trying to not have that spell.
Also, I'm assuming are we keeping the actual nature of the Warforged under our hats? Because that would be something I would want to leave for Telday to decide to say. Because I know technically we're supposed to be keeping that secret.
By that point, Telday would be there, so that would be something he could also have some input on.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Actually, I did want to confirm in terms of going to the food room. I'm a little vague on exactly what the intention is and going in that area.
I'm taking them through to go to my backyard because I'm going to show them the big thing of metal that we're working with.
Yeah, this guy's
okay. Yeah, you're just hanging at a beacon. In that case, yeah, I guess I'll stay.
This is only for a quick flash in the pan. This is what this is. I don't intend to stay.
Oh, quick flash in the pan. Yeah. So you're going to come out. For the moment, like the food room is confusing enough. But, you know, fucking arcane weirdness is arcane weirdness.
So good. I pick up something, I eat it quick on the way through. You never get hungry in here. It's great, but man, I want to eat every. Okay,
they both give you that look of like, don't get hungry, and also that's cruel.
I mean, technically, one of them has teeth still.
All right, I'm gonna open up the other door and.
Okay, so you come through into your kitchen. I believe food room connects to, right?
Yeah, kitchen.
Which at this point, back on Varas, your family is like having dinner.
Mommy's home.
Which gets a lot of cheers, and then like when when Fowler
and
the headless man come through, it causes some screams from the children, but it's in that sort of like excited, yeah. I'm excited to be scared of this.
I'm gonna ask one thing.
Kids, no, he's on fire. Kids, he's on fire.
Would Luther put his helmet back on before going through?
No, because he wasn't told anything about where the fuck he was going.
Oh, okay.
No, leave them alone. Leave them alone.
Right, that's gonna take a little bit to actually extradite yourselves from.
That's actually probably shocking to them, as suddenly there's like a swarm of small child fae that want to see them.
Yeah. Yeah. The most taken aback are your parents. Raziel is not right there. Because
for the best.
Well, Raziel is a bit of a tireless worker, I will say.
And Razem, maybe?
Razem is actually there. Which she seems startled, but like she's basically got that thing of if they're with you, then
it's fine.
It's fine. Your little lizard boy, however, is very alarmed, like skittering back chair, moving away, and it's not from Fowler.
Oh.
It's from Lufa, who he seems.
Tarl, it's fine. They're nice people. I promise, sweetie.
It's
okay. He's a priest of Amor. He's a really nice guy.
He's a big armored man.
It's okay. He's fine.
Glowing.
Yeah. Just like Telde, he's fine.
Yeah, I will note he has been skittish about other Warforged in the town as well.
Yeah, I know he has been.
Yeah,
hey, so it's okay. We're gonna be right outside. Don't worry about it, sweetie. You're all right. It's all right. He's not staying here. Excited.
Luther actually, upon seeing this, seems to try to make efforts to make himself seem less imposing. And he's actually. Yeah, and he's actually really respectfully talking in Hexenreich to your family, trying to say sorry for the intrusion.
Gifton suddenly has realized that there is a major problem. Gifton doesn't speak Hexenreich.
Yeah, and Fowler is like, you have trouble speaking Hexenreich, but like you probably catch the occasional word now and then, simply because you've known people for long enough. Like you don't speak the language, but you know what certain words are. Yeah. What Fowler is speaking is not any kind of Hexenreich that you are familiar with.
That's fine. I'm just gonna start trying to lead them out. But yeah, that's the goal is extradite and get them out. Get them out of the house.
And as you're leading them out, Luther is like talking at Fowler, and there is still that sort of frown of like, even they're struggling to comprehend each other right now. But they have a little easier time with it, because there is a shared route.
Thank God she's something I'd have an high int.
Yes, but thankfully the high int one is going to look at Luther's gestures of he's closing his like fingers on his hand as if motioning, speaking, and then she's going to nod, and she's going to motion that back, then like wave her hand in an X pattern in front of her. But they're following you all the same.
Yeah, I'm gonna motion them both out to the smithy. They were working on everything good.
You motion out to the smithy, and you immediately see Lucian is sitting down eating a sandwich, which he pauses like mid-chew, mouth hanging open slightly at the side.
I'm going to be taking my little circlet off of comprehend languages, and I'm going to offer it to either of the two of them. To the two I'm with.
Fowler gives you a curious look.
I make hand motion of Taki and tap ear.
She does a finger up of like, I see. And
I give that to her.
She takes that from you, and she puts it on her. She takes it off her actual circlet that she's wearing.
Just stack it on top. Just stack them.
Yeah,
it'll be fine.
Similar with automatic 19 int is off, and she's an int of 5.
All right, and I'm gonna burn one of my daily wish spells, and I'm tapping Luther with tongues.
Okay, right.
Tongues is an hour, I think. I think it might be concentration. I'm looking it up.
They seem to be like establishing understanding with each other again. And you sort of walk
I don't think Luther can wear I don't think Luther can wear the headpiece.
No, he cannot. And you walk up to the forge itself, where Lucy is sitting, and inside, actually working away, is Raziel, which he is bare chested.
Actually, can I adjust that? I have 3 wishes for the day. I'm just gonna cast 2 sets of tongues. I'm gonna take the circlet back to me.
Okay.
We can all understand them now. Fine.
Wonderful.
It's not concentration. I just checked. So.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, those are my wishes are spent on mansion and 2 tongues today. That's it.
Wonderful. Yep. There is a bare-chested Raziel working at the forge.
Gifton's gonna let out a low whistle.
Raziel looks back towards you, recognizing the tone. Looks like he's about to make fun of you a little bit before eyes are lighting on the the Lich and the headless man, and immediately he goes, "Fowler? What on earth?"
Oh, do you know each other?
Just ran across her once or twice. I'm sorry, I don't know you. And Resto seems like he understands just fine. He just sort of waves his hand and goes, "New body." I don't even remember what name I used with you.
This is my brother Raziel. This is my dear young lord Lucien Capet. I have tongues cast on these two so they can understand us, because otherwise it's hilarious in the house right now.
I'm gonna go have something proper to eat, Lucien says, actually just standing straight up and really.
Lucien, foreign mages, you're missing out.
Oh, give me a persuasion check, actually.
Is that an advantage?
No, because they're scary.
There's that moment of quick hesitation.
You know what? I kind of want to spend a card. Nah, I'm not gonna. 17.
Yeah, he's gonna pause. He's not heading back to sit down comfortably. He's keeping himself in a good getaway position, but he's gonna stick around. Raziel's going to just sort of look and go, well, I assume you've reached Faramir well and safe then?
Yeah, we're having meetings with the Great Council of Faramir, which, by the way, amazing amount of mages.
Yes, that's kind of their thing. Lucien, sort of eyes going between people. But, what brings you to our lovely town? He says, looking at the other two.
We wanted to give them a chance to look at the metal, as they will be building, the parts we need.
Oh, in that case, yeah.
And I thought it would be easier to do this rather than... I'm not sure what's going to happen if I cast a teleport spell while holding that.
Adventure, probably. Well,
yeah, but you understand my concern, because the last time I made little flowers grow, it went like,
Well, we have done a little experimentation on that matter, and he's actually going to lift up a it looks like a little shaped ingot, like very small ingot. But around half of it is basically wrapped leather cord, just to create an unbare surface, and he just holds it by that leather part. Snaps his fingers to do a little light spell, and it just lights up the tip of his finger, and then he just shifts his finger slightly to be touching bare metal, does it again, and it is suddenly horribly bright in here.
Oh, that's right.
Right. Understand?
Yeah. Valda, would you like to look that over?
Valda is very interested looking in this. And she sort of heads on over and sort of holds her hands out in the sort of may I, which Raziel actually sort of looks at you again as if to double check.
I'm nodding.
And he hands it to her.
I promised her a sample if we could give her one.
May as well use that one then.
Mm-hmm.
That is remarkable. Where did you get this?
I've got a amount of it that fell from the sky on my house. You could say it's a gift from on high.
A godly thing?
One pay grade up.
I think she's being coy, but I'm pretty sure Shax is over and says.
Are you familiar with the concept of the dreamer?
Yes, some small mentions throughout history in certain cultures.
Okay, well, the Dreamer's been in contact with our group and sent us this medal to try and stop everything that's going on, because it's all cascading out of control.
Most scholars would agree that that isn't real and is a tale of just where would the gods come from. We've made up another over-god.
Yeah, but I have medal.
Never mind the nonsense of that, just leading to a question of where that came from.
We've talked for them.
But you're serious?
Oh, very serious.
Oh. She actually seems to stand up a little straighter. Her eyes are blazing a little more. And she goes, there's always something new to learn.
Yep. So, I have been tasked by Barras to ensure that some of this is going to be necessary for our battles against the first dragon, but I am to allocate some of it to the cause of Faramir.
You already had plans for us.
Of course I did. I told you that when I came in the room.
I didn't believe you, though.
I look at Raziel. Why does no one believe me?
You're adorable.
Because you're a fae.
And you're shirtless.
Yes, it's very hot in here, and I feel that now.
Your abs look great.
He looks down a bit and just shrugs and goes, of course they do, they're mine. Right. Well.
Take a compliment.
I think I just did.
Alright,
how has this worked? The notes, everything. And she's actually now going to sort of like push her way into the forge. Now that her interest has actually been.
Lucian,
cool.
Raziel, do you want to go over that a bit?
Certainly, it'll take a while. I can stay if need be. If you, she sort of looks over at you. If I have your permission.
I don't want to cause an international incident with your people if we kidnap you.
The Luther, tell them that I'm staying, and she's just waving really dismissively at him. I don't know if that is a good idea. You'll be alone here, and this is outside Faramir. This isn't safe, and she's just like shoots him a glare.
Would it help if I take you into the rest of the city and you can see the occupants? I looked to Luther.
He seems a little tense, and he is actually looking down like he is concerned here, and goes, I'm sure the occupants of your city are fine, but
they're mostly Warforged.
all the same, More forces can move in if called. But I have to insist that you do come back. Look at this fort. Look at that fort. Have you ever seen anything like that? No, I haven't. I'm not a forge smith, whatever you call them.
That's a magic forge. It's cold.
Valda looks genuinely
It
annoyed.
uses an actual thread of time inside of it. We had to go to Zaw.
It's worth it. It's worth Lufa. I am staying. And Lufa actually reaches up and touches the front of his helmet like he's gripping the bridge of his nose. And fine, then I want to stay, but I have to go back. I do have duties.
How about the doorway stays open for 24 hours? We'll come back before the end of that and check on her. And if we need to, we can re-up it. That doorway goes right into my house where my family is. So it's not exactly a military replacement.
Your children are pretty dangerous.
How about this? She comes back briefly so that I know she's safe. Then, with your permission, I would like to send her through with a couple of guards. They will stay away from your family.
I think that would be fine. I think the only of the children that would be a concern is my dear adoptive son. I kind of frown a little bit. I'm sorry, Torl was one of the young children that was experimented on by those Hexenreichers I mentioned.
He seemed more bothered by me than her. Is it the armor?
He is not comfortable around the Warforges because, like I said, they were trying to purify souls by ripping them out of their bodies and putting them into mechanical things.
In that case, and perhaps a couple of my Wraith Guard.
Yeah, that might be fine. But my children would not be at all bothered. I do hope anybody going through the house understands that do not return to Furamir without checking your pockets. They will get in.
I will check my armor. How to check your robes for the love of. And the Wraith Guard will have no pockets, so.
Oh, all right. Well, I think that will be fine then. My escapees are tantamount to getting everywhere, and I think the last thing Furamir needs is an infestations of brownies.
Well, your children are very cute, but yes, no.
Yes, no. Shall we go back then?
Fine.
We can get some of your Wraith Guards right away.
And he nods, and Valda very begrudgingly nods and comes along.
And I'm gonna go in for a head and make sure Torl is out of the way of the kitchen.
You notice that once you're in there, Rezem and Torl are actually gone. And she's taking him off to one of the separate rooms.
Mm-hmm. And I'm going to inform Care that the one lady and her guards are going to be coming back through.
Jeez.
They're very nice people.
It does not like this idea of ghost men coming through here. But yes.
I thought things were going to be less weird.
The kids are going to find out.
I'll inform them that they don't feel a need to bring them treats. Apparently they don't.
Yep, you are able to go on back through, and once on the other side, they do start arranging things, which Lufa just directly sends for some Wraith Guard. Melinda actually spends some time, almost yelling at Valda about how this is a fucking stupid idea, going with just a couple of guards to a foreign country. And it you feel like this might actually have escalated into a louder shouting match if you all weren't there as a third party witnesses.
Well, how many would make it is there any other precautions we can give her that would make this appropriate? I want to facilitate her knowing as much as she can about this forge.
Melinda seems to pause as a court of guard.
How can we help you? This is I don't want to fight. I want to help. Well, how do I help you? What do you need?
Her head turns to you and goes, "Bring the forge here."
Okay, I don't know how to do that. We can look into it. Do you have any people that can kind of look at that? Unfortunately, there's too much metal to move.
In that case, I insist that you go with a full contingent and that you carry a escape rune with you.
Sounds fair. You need me to make a stone structure over there for you?
Melinda seems to regard you carefully before there's a slow nod of her head. If I give you specifications, can you match them?
Yeah, give me specifications. I can match it. I'll make you a stone structure to your specifications. I would like to eventually take it down from by my house, but I appreciate that we're doing this for good measure right now. We want all protection. As far as I'm concerned, you're only adding protection to the forge.
Wilhelm is like waving his hands, going, "This is becoming more than a little visit that can be ignored."
Is that possible?
If you're talking about building an outpost on foreign soil, that is
my outpost.
You have the general's authority, but mate, he's just going to gesture at the radio as if like, can I clear this? Can I?
Yes, go ahead.
And in fact, and he's actually just going to come, and he's taking hold of your wrist, and he's bringing you to the radio as well.
No.
And you're going to spend a good hour and a half.
Yep.
Basically talking with General Stenhouse and what sounds like another Baratheon official about essentially setting up a very temporary Faramir outpost right near a major teleportation circle and military post in the town of Beacon.
What if I suggest that Barest sends a small temporary force to Faramir?
The force is like
That's you!
That's gonna be great.
You're the small temporary force in Faramir.
No.
I think he's
I have my own people actually can come over here, couldn't they?
I thought he was meaning sending a force over. So basically, you'd have the Faramir force and the Brass force camping out.
So what's going to happen is these discussions are going to happen, and we'll eventually reach an agreement. But that is actually where we're going to end this week's session. And what you are going to do for me, my players, is if you are wanting to bring friendly forces over here, I want you to try and tell me what you want to do. If you're wanting to bring Hevday or so on.
Hevday!
Yeah.
Oh god, releasing Hevday loose onto the...
I mean, he can't be turned to the other side. Like, he can't be turned to madness.
Yeah.
So basically, I want you to spend a week basically deciding what you want to do in this, because you have a big discussion over here. You've got both sides talking. Arrangements can be made, and not just for this visitation stuff, just in general. Mm-hmm. Dialogue is open.
Okay.
By the way, as a quicker thing as well, they were having all these arguments, Shax would have asked if it was okay if he got the maps that they were given before for marking out the stuff they had, and he would have been using himself, Carrick if he was up for it, and his familiar and the friggin' homunculus to mark out all the spots on the map they had been told about.
Okay, yeah, that
work done.
You can easily do that. And Melinda is appreciative of this. Mm-hmm. Okay, but yes, that is what we are going to do. Everybody take a call. We're going to call it 8,000 experience points. Yeah, because this is a milestone. And we will do this same time next week.
Yeah, sorry, Gifton's kind of in the mindset of fuck it. What do you want?
Alright, thanks anybody that was watching, and yeah, next time.
Did you catch
piety?
Yeah.
Oh, piety. Yes. One standard piety for everybody, and yeah, we're gonna give you all an Emorian piety.
I have 2 of those. Are we no longer streaming?
Now we're not.